Chapter 515. Buzz, Buzz, Buzz. While Mo Qingyun was still in shock, the formation-devouring spiritual insects discovered his existence and flapped their wings to attack him. Seeing the formation-devouring spiritual insects attacking him, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hesitate and immediately ordered I-Demon to kill them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under Mo Qingyun's order, I-Demon immediately released I-Power Rays and shot at the formation-devouring spiritual insects. Under I-Demon's crazy shooting, the formation-devouring spiritual insects were like moths to a flame. They were shot to death and fell from the sky. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He was shocked and said, "I didn't expect I-Demon to be so effective against the formation-devouring spiritual insects." However, after thinking about it for a while, Mo Qingyun felt relieved. I-Demon's I-Power Rays were not only fast, but also accurate. It could be said that every I-Demon was a godly archer. Therefore, the formation-devouring spiritual insects were just live targets for I-Demon to practice her shooting. In other words, the formation-devouring spiritual insects had met their match. Not long after, under I-Demon's crazy shooting, the attacking formation-devouring spirit bugs were all shot to death. After killing the formation-devouring spiritual insects, I-Demon moved quickly to the formation-devouring spiritual insects' corpses. Arriving next to the formation-devouring spiritual insects' corpses, I-Demon began to fight over them. She devoured them and started to refine them. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression changed again. I-Demon could actually refine the formation-devouring spiritual insects. It's a pity that there are too few formation-devouring spiritual insects, and their cultivation is too low. Mo Qingyun showed a trace of pity as he watched Mo devour and refine the formation-devouring spirit bugs. He sighed inwardly. If there were more of these formation-devouring spirit bugs, and if they were stronger, Mo's cultivation would increase greatly. After sighing in his heart, Mo Qingyun calmed down and stopped thinking about other things. He knew very well that if there had been more formation-devouring spiritual insects and they had been stronger, the outcome would have been different. After all, as the number of formation-devouring spiritual insects increased, their strength increased. Whether I-Demon could deal with it was another matter. After a while, Mo Qingyun saw that I-Demon had finished swallowing the formation-devouring spiritual bug's body. He didn't stay any longer and continued to walk into the ancient fruit grove. At this moment, Mo Qingyun didn't notice that the corpses of the formation-devouring spirit insects had changed a little after I-Demon devoured them. If one were to take a closer look, they would be able to see some runes flashing on I-Devil's body. After walking for a while, another new fruit tree entered Mo Qingyun's line of sight. On these fruit trees, there were spirit fruits that looked like stars. They shone brightly and looked extremely beautiful. As soon as Mo Qingyun saw these sparkling spirit fruits, his face lit up with ecstasy. He said excitedly, "Star fruits! I didn't expect to find star fruits here. With these stellar fruits, I don't need to look for stellar crystals anymore." After being pleasantly surprised, Mo Qingyun thought to himself, "With these stellar fruits, I can start refining the stellar Saint Soul Elixir when I return to the Wind family and break through to the heavenly spirit realm." With this thought, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately ordered I-Demon to pick the stellar fruits for him. There weren't many stellar fruit trees, only 2 or 3 in total. Moreover, the number of stellar fruits on each stellar fruit tree wasn't particularly large. After picking all the stellar fruits on the 3 stellar fruit trees, Mo Qingyun still didn't have 100 stellar fruits. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He looked puzzled. Under normal circumstances, each stellar fruit tree should bear at least a few hundred stellar fruits. Why are there only 20 or 30? At this moment, some doubts arose in Mo Qingyun's heart. He couldn't understand this result. After racking his brains to no avail, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and continued walking into the ancient fruit forest. However, as he walked deeper into the ancient fruit forest, Mo Qingyun's expression became more and more serious. This was because he realized that there wasn't a single complete spiritual fruit on the stellar fruit trees in the ancient fruit forest. Only a few incomplete spiritual fruits were left. Seeing this, Imo-Chingyun frowned. He thought to himself, could it be that the spiritual fruits in the ancient fruit forest were eaten by something? With that thought in mind, Imo-Chingyun quickened his pace and hurriedly walked into the depths of the ancient fruit forest. He wanted to see what it was that had eaten all the spirit fruits in the ancient fruit forest. After walking for a while, Imo-Chingyun realized that the situation inside was even worse than outside. Not only were the spiritual fruits on the stellar fruit trees eaten, but even the leaves on the stellar fruit trees were full of holes. It made the ancient fruit forest look like a mess. With this, Imo-Chingyun quickened his pace. He wanted to find the culprit that caused this situation. After a while, Imo-Chingyun saw the culprit that ate the spiritual fruits. It was a plump green fruit worm. These fruit worms looked similar to cicada pupae, but they were slightly bigger. They were about the size of a cucumber. What surprised Imo-Chingyun was that these fruit worms were extremely strong. Even the weakest one was at the half-step Pill Palace realm. Fruit worms at the Pill Palace realm. After knowing the cultivation of these fruit worms, Imo-Chingyun's expression changed. He was puzzled. According to Won Ho-Yuan's description, anyone above the Pill Palace realm who entered the ancient fruit forest will be killed by the ancient fruit forest array. It was a pity that these Pill Palace realm fruit worms were able to survive. After pondering for a while, Imo-Chingyun's eyes suddenly lit up. He thought of a possibility. Could it be that the formation-devouring spirit bugs ate the array's runes, causing the array's power to weaken, allowing these Pill Palace realm fruit worms to survive? With this thought, Imo-Chingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately summoned a Pill Palace realm Eye-Devil. After summoning the Pill Palace realm Eye-Devil, Imo-Chingyun realized that the result was as he expected. This Eye-Devil wasn't attacked by the array. It should be because the formation-devouring spirit bugs ate the array's runes, causing the array's power to weaken. This is why the Pill Palace realm fruit worms aren't attacked by the array. After understanding this point, Imo-Chingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately summoned the Pill Palace realm Eye-Devil. His heart was filled with anticipation. Since the Eye-Devil can even devour the formation-devouring spirit bugs, it should be able to devour these fruit worms, right? At this moment, a strong sense of anticipation rose in Imo-Chingyun's heart. If the Eye-Devil could devour and refine these fruit worms, it would be a good result. Chapter 516. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Just as Imo-Chingyun was looking forward to it, the fruit worms discovered Eye-Demon's presence. They started to wiggle their bodies and attack Eye-Demon. Under the attack of the fruit worm, a net of cold air covered the sky and covered Eye-Devil. It seemed that it was going to trap Eye-Devil. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Under the attack of these silk webs, the branches of some fruit trees that came into contact with them immediately turned into mist and disappeared without a trace. The web spat out by this fruit worm actually has such a terrifying, corrosive ability. Seeing the might of the fruit worm's attack, Imo-Chingyun's expression changed. He raised his guard against this fruit worm. Following that, Imo-Chingyun ordered Eye-Devil to retreat and maintain a certain distance from the fruit worms. She tried her best not to enter their attack range. Then, Imo-Chingyun retreated with Eye-Demon and ordered her to shoot the fruit worms with her eye power. Although the fruit worms were not weak, their intelligence was too low. They only knew how to charge forward and didn't know how to retreat or escape. 2 hours later, Imo-Chingyun and Yin Imo were finally able to slaughter all of the fruit worms as they retreated. After Eye-Devil killed all the fruit worms, they ran towards the fruit worms as fast as they did before. When they came to the fruit worms' corpses, Eye-Demon started to fight over the fruit worms' corpses, devouring them and refining them. After a few more hours, Eye-Demon finally devoured all the fruit worms. The fruit worms were finally devoured by the Eye-Demon. However, to Imo-Chingyun's surprise, the Eye-Demon actually fell into a deep sleep after devouring the fruit worms. It was like a baby cicada that had grown to a certain level and was about to break out of its cocoon and become a butterfly. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate anymore. He immediately put all the unconscious eye demons into the Haitian palace. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun didn't continue on his way. Instead, he entered the Haitian palace to observe the situation of the eye demons in the Haitian palace. After observing for a while, Mo Qingyun found that a thick layer of frost appeared on the body of the fruit worms. Could it be that the eye demon couldn't absorb the fruit worm's energy and got devoured by the fruit worms? After discovering this, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, and some worry appeared in his eyes. Eye demon was a powerful trump card of his. If something happened to it, he would be heartbroken. Then, Mo Qingyun released his soul power and sensed eye demon situation. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun's complexion improved slightly. Although there were some changes to eye demon's body, her aura was still stable. There shouldn't be too much of a problem. In the next short period of time, Mo Qingyun paid attention to eye demon's changes. 3 days later. Ka ka ka. A series of crisp sounds could be heard coming from the Black Arcane Palace. The eye demons, who were covered in frost, broke through the frost and walked out. Their bodies emitted a cold, corrosive presence. After discovering this, he was overjoyed and said excitedly, This is a corrosive aura. Could it be that eye demon has merged with the fruit worm's bloodline power? After discovering this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately took out an ordinary weapon from Sha Ao's Chinquan bag for eye demon to attack. Chi chi chi. Under the attack of eye demon's mutated eye power, traces of corrosion appeared on the weapon. It has indeed merged with the fruit worm's bloodline power. If this is the case, the power of eye demon's eye power will be raised to another level. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun was overjoyed. He was surprised by this result. However, before Mo Qingyun could rejoice, another wave of eye demons started to change. Dazzling array runes appeared on the body of the eye demon that had devoured the formation devouring spiritual insects. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately shook and became excited. Could it be that these eye devils that devoured the formation-devouring spirit insects also fused with the formation-devouring spirit insects' bloodline power? Doesn't this mean Mo Qingyun didn't dare to think further? Eye demon's eye power had the power of an array. What kind of ability was this? After thinking for a short while, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and asked a lower-level eye demon to cast an eye power array on him. After receiving Mo Qingyun's order, eye demon immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. After being attacked by eye demon, the scene in front of him changed, and he entered a dark devil's denver. This was an illusion array. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun was sure that eye demon had merged with the bloodline power of the formation-devouring spiritual insects and had the ability to cast an illusion array. Following this, Mo Qingyun chose another eye demon and asked them to attack him. After a series of tests, Mo Qingyun's expression became more and more excited. He was surprised to find that the eye demons that had merged with the formation-devouring spiritual insects not only mastered the origin energy array, but also the array that attacked the soul. Since eye demon has finished evolving, it's time to continue to the ancient fruit forest. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately led eye demon deeper into the ancient fruit forest. Next, Mo Qingyun encountered some formation-devouring spiritual insects and fruit insects. These formation-devouring spiritual insects and fruit insects were even stronger than the fruit insects and formation-devouring spiritual insects from before. Not only that, there was even a bug king among these fruit insects and formation-devouring spiritual insects. Its strength was so terrifying that it was comparable to a heaven starboarder. Luckily, Mo Qingyun had enough eye demons around him. With the help of the 9 temples, they barely managed to kill the fruit insects and formation-devouring spiritual insects. Seeing the mutation of eye demon, Mo Qingyun didn't let eye demon devour the fruit insects and formation-devouring spiritual insects. Instead, he let the eye demons that hadn't mutated devour them. Since demon could mutate and become stronger by devouring the formation, devouring spiritual insects and fruit insects, Mo Qingyun wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Just like this, in the following days, Mo Qingyun led demon to kill the fruit insects and formation, devouring spiritual insects in a frenzy. This allowed demon to mutate and become stronger. 10 days later, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the bottom of the ancient fruit forest. In other words, he had run through the entire ancient fruit forest. During this process, demon's strength had increased tremendously. Mo's son and the other demon's strength had already reached the high tier of the Pill Palace. However, what disappointed Mo Qingyun was that he still hadn't obtained a single spirit fruit during this period of time. Could it be that this trip to the ancient fruit forest is going to end because of this? Looking at this scene, Mo Qingyun revealed a trace of pity. Disappointment rose in his heart. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was feeling disappointed, a terrifying aura pressed down on them. This was the aura of a Heaven Star Border expert. There was actually a Heaven Star Border expert in this ancient fruit forest. Was this a Heaven Star Border fruit insect? Or a Heaven Star Border devouring spiritual insect? Or some other existence? Chapter 517. After the terrifying aura appeared, Mo Qingyun saw a fat figure wobbling towards him. This was a middle-aged man with golden antennae on his head and golden scales on his body. He looked a little silly. Mo Qingyun immediately frowned when he saw this simple and honest middle-aged man appear. His eyes revealed a look of bewilderment. This is a Heaven Star Realm fruit worm. After a brief moment of bewilderment, Mo Qingyun recognized the origin of this simple and honest middle-aged man, and a feeling of shock arose in his heart. This was a fruit worm that had entered adulthood, the golden horned sky piercing bull. Not only that, it had successfully shed its worm body and completed the transformation tribulation of a demonic beast. It had become a golden horned sky piercing bull that could transform into a human. Under normal circumstances, when a demonic beast cultivation reached the Heaven Star realm, and with some heaven-defying opportunities, it could successfully break through the transformation tribulation and transform into a human. Now it seemed that the golden horned sky-piercing bull had eaten the spiritual fruits in the ancient fruit forest and was lucky enough to break through the transformation tribulation and transform into a human. Kid, your meat smells so good. I heard from my ancestors that human meat is the most delicious thing. The golden horned sky-piercing bull sized up Mo Qingyun. It rolled its little eyes and said with a silly smile, "How about we play a game? I'll eat a piece of your meat every day, and I'll let you live for one more day. Let's see how many days you can last." After the golden horned sky-piercing bull finished its words, it took out a green spiritual fruit and threw it into its mouth. It started chewing. Seeing the spiritual fruit in the golden horned sky-piercing bull's hand, Mo Qingyun's expression changed, and he looked surprised. The longevity fruit. The spiritual fruit that the golden horned sky-piercing bull had eaten was the longevity fruit that he had come for. After realizing this, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he understood. He thought to himself, "It seems that some of the spiritual fruits in the ancient fruit forest are still in the hands of the golden horned sky-piercing bull. It seems that I have to take down the golden horned sky-piercing bull if I want to get the longevity fruit." After thinking about this, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately attacked the golden horned sky-piercing bull. The sealed door. At this moment, the gate of seals was summoned by Mo Qingyun and slammed out at the golden horned sky-piercing bull, sealing away the power of its bloodline. Under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's sealed gate, the golden horned sky drilling bull's aura quickly fell to the pinnacle of the Pill Palace realm. At the same time, the golden horned sky-piercing bull returned to its original form. As the golden horned sky-piercing bull returned to its original form, Mo Qingyun's guess was finally confirmed. The golden horned sky-piercing bull's body was covered in a layer of golden scales. The two golden horns on its head emitted a dazzling golden light. Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to order the Eye Devil to attack the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull after it used its martial soul divine ability. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Upon receiving Mo Qingyun's order, Eye Devil immediately unleashed her Eye Power Ray to bombard the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. Chi chi chi. Now that Eye Devil had mutated, their Eye Power Ray began to corrode the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull scales. Under the corrosion of Eye Devil's Eye Power Ray, holes began to appear on the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull scales. The scales began to shatter. However, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull was indeed a Heaven Star Border Realm expert. In addition to its special physique, its vitality was far stronger than other demonic beasts. Perhaps because it had swallowed a large amount of longevity fruits, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's body emitted a pure life ultimacy. Under the effect of the life ultimacy, the injuries caused by Eye Devil's Eye Power Ray immediately healed. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious, and he immediately said to Eye Devil, Mo, son, merge with me. Mo Sin's cultivation had already reached the 7th level of the Pill Palace realm. Now that Mo Qingyun had fused with the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull, he was able to fight the weakened Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. Once the fusion gate was summoned, it enveloped Mo Qingyun and Mo Sun and merged them together. Blood Chi Rampage. After merging with Mo Sun, Mo Qingyun immediately used the Blood Chi Rampage to increase his strength. Under the Blood Chi Rampage, Mo Qingyun's aura quickly reached the mid-8th level of the Pill Palace realm. After his cultivation reached the mid-8th level of the Pill Palace realm, the gap between Mo Qingyun and the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's cultivation narrowed again. Following this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately wielded the Scorching Halberd and charged towards the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. Damn human, I'm going to kill you. Seeing Mo Qingyun charging towards it, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull let out a furious roar. It flapped its scaled wings and charged towards Mo Qingyun. As the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull approached Mo Qingyun, it waved its golden feelers and swept towards Mo Qingyun. Under the wave of the golden feelers, a terrifying energy exploded from the feelers, setting off a terrifying storm. Facing the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's attack, Mo Qingyun did not retreat. Instead, he wielded the Scorching Halberd and slashed towards the golden feelers. Clang! When the Scorching Halberd and the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's feelers collided, a crisp sound rang out. It was as though two metals had collided. At the same time, Mo Qingyun also felt a shocking force coming from the golden antennae, and his body was shaken to the point of retreating. Again, after stabilizing his body, Mo Qingyun wielded the Scorching Halberd and charged towards the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull again. Clang, clang, clang. In the next moment, Mo Qingyun and the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull engaged in a frenzied battle in midair. As they exchanged blows, their figures were intertwined. After a while, under Mo Qingyun's frenzied attacks, one of the feelers of the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull was finally unable to withstand the pressure and was forcefully cut off by Mo Qingyun. My feelers. After its feelers were cut off by Mo Qingyun, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's face was immediately filled with fear and panic. Following which, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull no longer bothered with Mo Qingyun. It turned around and prepared to escape. Trying to escape? Not so easy. Seeing that the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull was about to escape, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and quickly chased after it. As Mo Qingyun chased after him, he ordered the 9 temples. 9 temples set up the array and stopped the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. Yes, young lord. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the 9 temples responded and immediately set up the array on the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. The 9 temples was extremely fast. In a short while, a trapping array was set up, and it shone brightly as it enveloped the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull. Array! Array! Seeing that it was trapped by the array, the Golden Horn Sky Piercing Bull's expression changed drastically. It panicked and ran around the array. Xiaoza, heavenly spirit finger. Seeing the golden horn sky-piercing bull running around in the array, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and raised his hand to point at the golden horn sky-piercing bull. As Mo Qingyun pointed at the golden horn sky-piercing bull, the wind and clouds gathered to form a huge vortex. Chapter 518. Bang! When the giant black finger hit the golden horn sky-boring bull, a deafening explosion was heard and a terrifying yuan energy storm was set off. Under this elemental energy storm, some of the surrounding fruit trees were directly sent flying. After using the Xiaoza heavenly spirit finger, Mo Qingyun and Demon Imo Sun were no longer in their combined state. After a while, when the yuan energy storm dissipated, the golden horn sky-boring bull was lying on the ground, motionless. Its scales were all shattered. It now looked like a snail that had lost its shell. It was white and tender, lying on the ground as if it had no bones. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun held the scorching halberd in his hand and slowly walked towards it, ready to kill it. Wait a minute. Seeing Mo Qingyun approaching, the golden horn sky-boring bull immediately panicked and begged for mercy. Please spare my life. As long as you spare my life, I will tell you a big secret. Oh, Mo Qingyun was curious when he heard this. He smiled faintly and said, "Let's hear it. If I am satisfied, I may spare your life. I know where the heart of the orchard is. If you spare my life, I will help you refine the heart of the orchard and collect the orchard." Seeing Mo Qingyun's interest, the golden horn sky-boring bull hurriedly said, "Not only that, after you refine the heart of the orchard and collect the orchard, I can help you take care of it." Sounds pretty good. Hearing the golden horn sky-boring bull's words, Mo Qingyun was tempted. He decided to spare the golden horn sky-boring bull's life. If he could obtain the ancient fruit forest, he would be able to obtain the help of the ancient fruit forest. This was not a bad thing. In comparison, it seemed that keeping the golden horn sky-boring bull alive was much better than killing it. After making his decision, Mo Qingyun said coldly to the golden horn sky-boring bull, "Release your soul. I want to plant a soul imprint in your soul." Yes, compared to humans, demonic beasts were more simple-minded. The golden horn sky-drilling bull released its soul without hesitation. Perhaps in the golden horn sky-piercing bull's eyes, it was fine as long as it could survive. Nothing else mattered. Because the golden horn sky-piercing bull was very cooperative, Mo Qingyun successfully subdued it. Very quickly, Mo Qingyun planted a soul imprint in its soul. "Greetings, Master." After Mo Qingyun planted a soul imprint on it, the golden horn sky-piercing bull went limp on the ground and said respectfully. After successfully subduing the golden horn sky-piercing bull, Mo Qingyun took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to it, saying, "Here are some healing pills. Take it and heal your injuries." Medicinal pills? The golden horn sky-piercing bull took the pill and immediately became excited. In its memory, it had never eaten something like this before. Following that, the golden horn sky-piercing bull couldn't help but open a medicine bottle and pour it into its mouth. Delicious! After swallowing a few pills, the golden horn sky-piercing bull was ecstatic and said excitedly, "It's delicious, so much better than those spiritual fruits." After praising the healing pills, the golden horn sky-piercing bull directly threw the jade bottle into its mouth and chewed it. It was as crude as it could be. Seeing the golden horn sky-piercing bull's actions, Mo Qingyun felt a wave of helplessness. He finally understood why it could grow so fat. With this guy's temperament, it probably didn't think that it would be difficult for it to grow fat. "Master, this pill is delicious. Do you have more?" After swallowing the entire bottle of pills, Iron Bull looked as if it wanted more and asked Mo Qingyun for more. Seeing the golden horn sky-piercing bull's actions, Mo Qingyun's face turned serious and said coldly, "I don't have any more for now. Refining that pill requires some ingredients. For example, those spiritual fruits you just ate are ingredients for refining pills." Spiritual fruits are ingredients for refining pills. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Iron Bull's two small eyes immediately lit up. It said excitedly to Mo Qingyun, "Master, with those spiritual fruits, you can refine pills?" "That's right." After hearing this, Mo Qingyun nodded. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Iron Bull immediately flew into the air and said excitedly to Mo Qingyun, "Master, come with me. I don't have many things in my tree nest, but I have the most spiritual fruits. I'll bring you there now." As soon as Iron Bull finished speaking, it flew unsteadily in front of Mo Qingyun and led him to his residence. Not long after, a huge hollowed-out fruit tree appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. "This should be Iron Bull's tree nest. Master, this is my residence. Please follow me in." After bringing Mo Qingyun to its tree nest, Iron Bull smiled honestly and urged Mo Qingyun to enter the tree nest. Following this, Mo Qingyun followed Iron Bull to its collection room. What entered his eyes was a dazzling array of spiritual fruits of all shapes and sizes, filling up the entire collection room. Mo Qingyun roughly sensed that there were at least tens of thousands of spiritual fruits. It seemed that most of the spiritual fruits in the entire fruit forest had been taken by Iron Bull. After a short moment of shock, Mo Qingyun began to search for the longevity fruit among the spiritual fruits. After searching for a while, Mo Qingyun frowned. There was no longevity fruit among the spiritual fruits. To Mo Qingyun, the longevity fruit was the most important. The rest of the spiritual fruits were dispensable. After thinking about this, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and asked Iron Bull directly, "Iron Bull, do you still have the spiritual fruit that you ate before? Are you talking about the hypnosis fruit?" Hearing Mo Qingyun mention the longevity fruit, Iron Bull showed a look of understanding. He raised his hand and took out a longevity fruit. Hypnosis fruit? Hearing what Iron Bull called the longevity fruit, Mo Qingyun was stunned. He was very surprised and asked, "Yes, this is the spiritual fruit. Why do you call it the hypnosis fruit?" "Master, don't you know? After eating the spirit fruit, I feel dizzy like I want to sleep," Tainyo said with a simple and honest smile. "Want to sleep?" Mo Qingyun's expression froze once more. He looked at Tainyo with envy in his eyes. He did not expect Iron Bull, who looked so honest, to have such a high comprehension ability. Just by eating the longevity fruit, he could comprehend the ultimacy contained in the fruit. If others were to find out about such a heaven-defying talent, they would probably be envious to death. After a short moment of silence, Mo Qingyun did not beat around the bush. He said directly, "Iron Bull, I need the hypnosis fruit to make pills. Give it to me." "Okay." Hearing this, Iron Bull immediately took out a pile of longevity fruits from his chinquin bag. He smiled at Mo Qingyun and said, "Master, the hypnosis fruits are all here. However, they seem to be spoiled. After eating them, I don't want to sleep anymore." "Spoiled? You don't want to sleep anymore?" Hearing this, Mo Qingyun felt helpless. He did not know what to say to Iron Bull. Chapter 519. Of course, Mo Qingyun did not explain this to Iron Bull. Mo Qingyun knew very well that with Iron Bull's intellect, it would be very difficult to explain things to him. Mo Qingyun did not plan on wasting any time after obtaining the longevity fruit from Iron Bull. He immediately prepared to cultivate and increase his cultivation. "Iron Bull, your injuries are quite severe. I'll take you to a place where you can cultivate and heal," Mo Qingyun said to Iron Bull before taking him to Hexian Palace. He let Iron Bull cultivate and heal in Hexian Palace. Mo Qingyun brought Tainyo into the black profound hall and brought him to a cultivation room. He pointed at one of the cultivation rooms and said, "You can cultivate and heal here. Once you've recovered, you can take me to refine the heart of the garden." "Yes, master." Iron Bull did not think too much when he heard Mo Qingyun's instructions. He directly entered the cultivation room to cultivate. Mo Qingyun did not hesitate when he saw Iron Bull enter the cultivation room. He entered one of the cultivation rooms and began to refine the longevity fruit. 2 hours later, Mo Qingyun refined a longevity fruit. After refining the longevity fruit, Mo Qingyun's life mysteries had become much stronger than before. It really is easier to comprehend the mysteries of life by refining the longevity fruit than by comprehending the steals on the longevity path. Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised when he saw the results of refining the longevity fruit. He compared the two methods of comprehending the mysteries of life and thought to himself, however, if I want to comprehend a higher level of life power, I still need to continue to the longevity path and comprehend the power on the steals on the longevity path. Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and took out another longevity fruit to refine. Just like that, time passed bit by bit as Mo Qingyun cultivated. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed in the time shift array. At this moment, the aura of Mo Qingyun's life intent suddenly soared, becoming several times stronger than before. Sevenfold profound meaning of life. After a month of continuous cultivation, Mo Qingyun's profound of life, which had been stuck at level 6, finally made a breakthrough. Mo Qingyun did not stop there after his life ultimacy had entered the 7th level. Instead, he continued to refine the longevity fruits. As Mo Qingyun continued to refine the longevity fruit, his life force grew stronger and stronger. Just as Mo Qingyun was fully focused on comprehending the profound meaning of life, the light gate martial spirit suddenly flew out from his body. The light gate martial spirit flew out from Mo Qingyun's body and opened its own martial spirit world. A life ultimacy emanated from it. As soon as this life Upanishad appeared, it merged with the life Upanishad in Mo Qingyun's body, assisting Mo Qingyun in comprehending the life Upanishad. The light gate martial spirit is assisting me in comprehending the life ultimacy. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat. Then, a look of surprise appeared on his face. With the help of the light gate martial spirit, the speed of his comprehension of the life ultimacy would definitely be faster. Half a year later in the cultivation room, complete mastery of the life ultimacy. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who was in the midst of cultivation, opened his eyes happily. After half a year of continuous refining of the longevity fruits and the help of the light gate martial spirit, his life ultimacy had finally reached the complete mastery. When Mo Qingyun's life ultimacy had reached the complete mastery, the light gate martial spirit dimmed a little and returned to Mo Qingyun's body. This light gate martial spirit is getting more and more mysterious. Recently, it has been acting strangely. It seems to have developed its own consciousness. Seeing the light gate martial spirit return to his body, Mo Qingyun became more and more curious about the origin of the light gate martial spirit. However, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. After all, the light gate martial spirit was too mysterious. It wasn't something that he could understand now. Not thinking about the light gate martial spirit, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy. He said excitedly, "Now that my life ultimacy has reached the complete mastery, it's time for my cultivation to break through to level 8 Yuan Dan." With this thought, Mo Qingyun once again entered the cultivation room, preparing to break through to level 8 Yuan Dan. Once again entering the cultivation room, Mo Qingyun merged the life ultimacy with his origin energy and gathered them in his dantian. As the origin energy merged with the life ultimacy gathered in his dantian, Mo Qingyun began to condense, compress, and condense it into an elixir. This process was extremely long. However, Mo Qingyun wasn't impatient. He proceeded at a steady pace. A few days later, Mo Qingyun, who was in the cultivation room, was suddenly overjoyed. The aura on his body suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. Level 8 Yuan Dan realm. After more than 7 months of cultivation in the time shift array formation, his cultivation finally broke through again, reaching the 8th level of origin core. After breaking through to level 8 Yuan Dan realm, Mo Qingyun didn't stop immediately. Instead, he continued to cultivation room to stabilize his realm. Mo Qingyun cultivated for another 2 days. After these 2 days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun not only completely stabilized his realm, but also reached the peak of level 8 Yuan Dan realm. This time, I've been cultivating in the cultivation room for more than 7 months. I wonder if Tainyo's injuries have healed. Seeing that Yuan Dan realm had stabilized, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivation room. He stood up and walked out of the cultivation room. Walking out of the cultivation room, Mo Qingyun walked towards Tainyo's cultivation room. He wanted to see how Tainyo's injuries were recovering. However, when Mo Qingyun arrived at Tainyo's cultivation room, he was speechless. He saw that Tainyo was sleeping unsightly, lying on the floor of the training room, snoring and sleeping soundly. Shaking his head with a wry smile, Mo Qingyun woke Tainyo up and asked him to refine the heart of the garden. "Master, you finished refining the elixir so quickly?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun woke him up, Tainyo's face immediately lit up. He wiped off his saliva and said excitedly to Mo Qingyun, "I didn't expect you to finish refining the elixir while I was sleeping in the cultivation room. Had a nap?" When Mo Qingyun heard this, he was speechless again. It turned out that Tainyo had been sleeping all this time and didn't cultivate to recover from his injuries. What made Mo Qingyun even more speechless was that Tainyo's injuries had actually completely recovered. Iron Bull's recovery ability was extremely heaven-defying for him to be able to recover so quickly without any cultivation. However, when he thought about how Tainyo had eaten countless spirit fruits, Mo Qingyun felt relieved. With the nourishment of so many spirit fruits, it would be difficult for Tainyo's recovery ability to not recover well. Hearing Tainyo's words, Mo Qingyun took out a bottle of elixir pills from Sha Ao's Cosmos bag and tossed it to Tainyo. He said, "Take me to the heart of the garden. Help me refine the heart of the garden and collect the ancient fruit forest." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he brought Tainyo out of Hexian Palace and returned to Tainyo's tree nest. However, when Mo Qingyun returned to the tree nest, Mo Qingyun was surprised to see that all the spirit fruits in the tree nest were gone. The spirit fruits are gone. Chapter 520. After pondering for a while, 2 figures appeared in Mo Qingyun's mind. I didn't expect the 2 of them to have also entered the ancient fruit forest. They even came to Tainyo's tree nest and took the spirit fruits. Mo Qingyun's face darkened. He thought to himself, if that's the case, then by killing the formation-devouring spirit worms and fruit worms in the ancient fruit forest, I've opened a path for the 2 of them. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, the only people who could enter the ancient fruit forest were Wen Shi and Yanglan. After thinking for a short while, Mo Qingyun no longer paid attention to the 2 of them. The most important thing for him now was to refine the heart of the garden. Because of Wen Shi and Yanglan's status, even if they took the spirit fruits, they would still have to hand them over to the Wen clan. When the time came, the spirit fruits would go through everyone's hands and eventually return to Mo Qingyun's hands. In that case, he had nothing to worry about. After understanding the crux of the matter, Mo Qingyun no longer thought about it. He said to Tainyo, "Tainyo, take me to the heart of the garden." "Yes, master." Tainyo immediately led the way and brought Mo Qingyun to the heart of the garden. Under Tainyo's lead, after a series of detours, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of an imperceptible tree stump. When they arrived in front of the tree stump, Tainyo raised his hand and formed a hand seal. He struck the tree stump. When Tainyo's hand seal landed on the tree stump immediately glowed and slowly moved to the side. Then, a secret underground tunnel appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. This was the place that led to the heart of the garden. "Master, the heart of the garden is below here." After opening the tunnel, Tainyo explained to Mo Qingyun and walked down the tunnel. Seeing Tainyo walk down the tunnel, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and followed him down. As they walked down the tunnel, dazzling formation runes appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. "Master, that little sapling is the heart of the orchard." When they reached the bottom of the tunnel, Iron Bull stopped and pointed at a sapling covered in runes. Mo Qingyun followed Iron Bull's finger and saw a small sapling covered in runes growing in the center of the array formation's runes. This is a formation spring tree. Seeing the small sapling covered in runes, Mo Qingyun was surprised. He was surprised that the formation spring tree would appear here. The formation spring tree was a kind of spirit tree that could produce natural formations. It was a treasure in the eyes of formation masters, and the best formation core in the eyes of powerful sects and clans. If the array spring tree was used as the eye of the array, there was no need to worry about the depletion of the array's energy. This was because it would absorb the energy of heaven and earth to replenish the depleted array energy. Not only that, but as the formation spring tree continued to grow, the power of the formation it maintained would also continue to grow stronger. After a brief moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun frowned. Looking at the formation runes in front of him, he said, "The formation spring tree happens to be in the center of these formation runes. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to refine the formation spring tree." "Master, don't worry. I'll break these formation runes right now." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Iron Bull showed a barbaric expression and was about to attack the formation runes. "Iron Bull, don't." Seeing Iron Bull's actions, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn. He stopped Iron Bull's actions and said, "These formation runes are the key to maintaining the stability of the ancient orchard. If you destroy them, I'm afraid it will affect the stability of the ancient orchard. I wonder if the 9 temples have a way for me to pass through these formation runes." After stopping Iron Bull, Mo Qingyun transmitted to the 9 temples, "9 temples, do you have a way for me to pass through these formation runes and reach the formation spring tree?" "The formation spring tree?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the 9 temples' tone immediately changed, revealing a strong sense of surprise. After a brief moment of surprise, the 9 temples showed a troubled expression and said in a low voice, "Young lord, these formation runes are a combination formation, and the person who set it up is extremely skilled, no weaker than me at my peak. If I were at my peak strength, it wouldn't be difficult to break through these formations, but now, at this point, the 9 temples fell silent. Their meaning couldn't be more obvious. With his current strength, he still didn't have the ability to break through this formation. Hearing the 9 temples' words, Mo Qingyun's expression became even heavier, and his frown deepened. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was frowning, the 9 temples' eyes suddenly lit up. He said to Mo Qingyun, "Young lord, although this old servant can't help you reach the formation spring tree, young lord, you have a way to get there yourself." "I have a way to get there myself?" Hearing this, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of confusion. He didn't understand what the 9 temples meant. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, the 9 temples smiled faintly, knowing that Mo Qingyun was confused. Then, the 9 temples smiled faintly and said to Mo Qingyun, "Young lord, don't you have the martial soul's gate of teleportation? If you use it, won't you be able to reach the formation spring tree?" After hearing the 9 temples' words, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed. He revealed a look of realization and laughed. "Haha, didn't you mention it? I forgot. When I suddenly saw these formation runes, I fell into a trance." The Gate of Teleportation. After being reminded by the 9 temples, Mo Qingyun summoned the Gate of Teleportation and walked through it. Then, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and arrived beside the formation spring tree. Teleportation? Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Iron Bull's eyes widened. He couldn't believe it. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Iron Bull's shock. He immediately began to refine the formation spring tree. Arriving beside the formation spring tree, Mo Qingyun released his spiritual power and slowly seeped it into the formation spring tree. However, when Mo Qingyun's spiritual power seeped into the formation spring tree, he felt a strong spiritual power rejecting his spiritual power. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun didn't reveal any surprise. He knew that this was the spiritual power left behind by the previous owner of the ancient fruit forest. 9 temples, help me suppress the spiritual power in the formation spring tree. Mo Qingyun instructed the 9 temples. Yes. Hearing this, the 9 temples released their spiritual power and seeped it into the formation spring tree to help Mo Qingyun suppress the remaining spiritual power. With the addition of the 9 temples divinity realm's spiritual power, the remaining spiritual power in the formation spring tree was quickly suppressed. Without the interference of the spiritual power, Mo Qingyun's refining process immediately became much easier. 6 hours later, under Mo Qingyun's refinement, a third of the formation spring tree had been successfully refined. However, as time passed, Mo Qingyun's refining process became more and more difficult. Just like this, another 3 days passed. Under Mo Qingyun's continuous efforts, he finally refined the formation spring tree and successfully controlled the ancient fruit forest. Chapter 521. Soon, Mo Qingyun sensed the presence of Wen Shi and Yang Lan in the ancient fruit grove. The two of them were cultivating hard in a corner of the ancient fruit grove, refining the spirit fruits they obtained from the Iron Bull's tree nest. Wen Shi and Yang Lan's cultivation had both reached the Pill Palace realm. Moreover, they hadn't just broken through to the Pill Palace realm, but were at the peak of the first stage of the Pill Palace realm. It seemed that they had obtained quite a lot of benefits with the help of these spirit fruits. Looks like these two fellows must have refined quite a few spirit fruits during this period of time. Seeing the progress of the two's cultivation, Mo Qingyun quickly guessed that their cultivation progress was obtained from refining the spirit fruits. These two fellows obtained the spirit fruits and refined them without permission. They didn't immediately return to the Wen clan to hand them in. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun's face darkened. He silently planned in his heart, I can't let them continue cultivating. Otherwise, it would be too wasteful for them to refine the spirit fruits like this. With a plan in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and prepared to find Wen Shi and Yang Lan. Iron Bull, I'm going to find Wen Shi and Yang Lan. You go into the Heixian Palace first. Walking to Iron Bull's side, Mo Qingyun instructed Iron Bull and kept it in the Heixian Palace. After keeping Iron Bull in the Heixian Palace, Missouri Qingyun's figure moved and disappeared from the spot, appearing not far away from Yang Lan and Yang Lan. Now that Mo Qingyun had control of the ancient fruit grove, there were no restrictions on space here. He could go wherever he wanted. Arriving not far away from Yang Lan and Yang Lan, Mo Qingyun's face darkened slightly as he slowly approached them. As Mo Qingyun slowly approached, Wen Shi and Yang Lan quickly sensed his presence and opened their eyes to look at him. When Wen Shi and Yang Lan saw that the person who came was Mo Qingyun, their eyes flashed with surprise. When they arrived at the ancient fruit grove, they discovered that all the spirit fruits had disappeared. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun was the one who plucked it. During this period of time, they had been constantly searching for Mo Qingyun's whereabouts. They wanted to obtain some more spirit fruits from him. Who would have thought that Mo Qingyun would take the initiative to deliver himself to his doorstep? Mo Qingyun, I didn't expect to meet you here. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was gradually approaching, Wen Shi revealed a cold smile and greeted Mo Qingyun. When Mo Qingyun heard this, he narrowed his eyes and looked at them. He smiled and said, Me too. To think that the two of you actually entered the ancient fruit grove as well. This ancient fruit grove is so big. Isn't it too hard for you to pick the spirit fruits alone? Naturally, we have to come in and help, Wen Shi said with a fake smile. 8th level cultivation on the New Year's Day. While Wen Shi and Mo Qingyun were talking, Yang Lan sensed Mo Qingyun's cultivation and then said with a sinister smile, Mo Qingyun, looks like you also encountered a great opportunity in the ancient fruit grove. Not bad. Aren't you guys the same? Mo Qingyun glanced at Yang Lan and said with a slightly sarcastic tone, Mo Qingyun, we came to this ancient fruit grove and found that all the spirit fruits in this ancient fruit grove have been plucked. Yang Lan glanced at the surrounding fruit trees, and a trace of cunning flashed through his eyes. He paused and said, If I'm not wrong, these spirit fruits were all plucked by you, right? You said? Mo Qingyun smiled playfully and asked in return. When they heard Mo Qingyun's words, the two of them sneered even more coldly. They believed that Mo Qingyun had admitted it. Afterwards, when she became solemn and said arrogantly, Mo Qing Yun, give me the spirit fruits you plucked. As a direct descendant of the Wen family, I should be in charge of the spirit fruits and hand them over to the elders of the Wen family. Give you the spirit fruits? Hearing Wen Shi's words, Mo Qing Yun's expression froze. He looked at Wen Shi with a mocking gaze and said, "What if I take out the spirit fruit and someone uses it for personal gain, stuffing their own pockets and refining it to increase their cultivation?" Wen Shi's expressions immediately changed when they heard Mo Qing Yun's words. They understood what Mo Qing Yun was referring to. Afterwards, Yang Lan smiled slyly and said to Mo Qing Yun, "Mo Qing Yun, you must have refined quite a few spirit fruits to be able to break through in such a short amount of time. Since that's the case, let's not beat around the bush. Why don't we split the spirit fruits we've obtained equally?" Equally? Mo Qing Yun's expression changed slightly. He quickly understood what Yang Lan meant and pretended to be worried. "Aren't you afraid that the Wen family will blame you if they find out what you're doing?" Hee, we're all smart people. Outsiders can't enter the ancient fruit grove, so it's up to us to decide how many spirit fruits we get. Yang Lan smiled disdainfully. She did not take Mo Qing Yun's words to heart. She smiled. "Later, we'll just split the spirit fruits we've obtained into 4 portions. We'll split 3 of them equally and give the other one to the elders of the Wen family. Are they going to enter the ancient fruit grove to verify it?" Mo Qing Yun could not help but nod when he heard Yang Lan's words. He had to admit that Yang Lan was right. "Do you think so too?" Mo Qing Yun looked at Wen Shi and asked for his opinion. Wen Shi was a direct descendant of the Wen clan. Mo Qing Yun felt that he wouldn't agree with Yang Lan's actions and betray her. However, the result greatly exceeded Mo Qing Yun's expectations. Hearing that, Wen Shi snorted coldly, "Humph." After every battle of the ancient fruit grove, there would be a few people in the Wen family whose cultivation would soar. I don't believe that they didn't keep the spirit fruits for themselves. Since they can keep the spirit fruits for themselves, why can't I? Hearing Wen Shi's words, Mo Qing Yun immediately understood. He smiled faintly. "Aren't you afraid that I'll tell on you? Tell on me?" Hearing Mo Qing Yun's words, Yang Lan's expression turned gloomy. She sneered, "Mo Qing Yun, do you think you'll have a chance?" Yang Lan sneered and continued, "I admit that your strength is not bad and you have a spiritual weapon. But don't forget that Wensi and I have already broken through to the Dan Palace realm. Sha Ao and the others can't be compared to us. Is the Pill Palace realm that great? In my eyes, even if you've broken through to the Heaven Star Border realm, you're no different from a pile of shit." In response to Yang Lan's arrogant words, Mo Qing Yun disdainfully glanced at him and said disdainfully, "You're courting death." Yang Lan was furious when she heard that. Her face turned gloomy and she said to Wen Shi, "This brat doesn't know what's good for him. Let's join hands and kill him first. When the time comes, we'll split the spirit fruits on him equally. As for the items on this brat, I don't want any of them. What do you think?" Yang Lan was cunning. He knew that his identity was not as good as Wen Shi's. He could not take Mo Qing Yun's items. Chapter 522. All right. Hearing Yang Lan's suggestion, Wen Shi agreed without hesitation. He looked at Mo Qing Yun with a cold expression and said, "Mo Qing Yun, you asked for it." After saying those cold words, Wen Shi's body moved and attacked Mo Qing Yun. When Wen Shi made a move, Yang Lan didn't hesitate either and followed to attack Mo Qing Yun. Unparalleled sky slash. Still water array fist. As soon as Yang Lan and Wen Shi attacked, they immediately erupted with sword light and fist shadows. They carried a powerful force as they smashed towards Mo Qing Yun domineeringly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Under their attacks, the surrounding branches immediately swayed crazily, and leaves flew up. Mo Qing Yun, prepare to pay the price for your arrogance. The Pill Palace realm isn't as simple as you think. After attacking Mo Qing Yun, Yang Lan said some arrogant words, and his face was filled with the expression of a villain intoxicated by success. However, the smug smile on their faces quickly froze on the spot. The reason for that was because they felt a terrifying aura crushing down on the two of them. After sensing this terrifying aura, Yanglan and Wen Shi's expressions changed drastically, and their faces became incomparably pale. Heaven Dipper Realm. This was the aura of a Heaven Dipper Realm expert. Mo Qingyun actually had a Heaven Dipper Realm expert beside him. This kind of situation was really beyond the expectations of Yanglan and Li Qiye. At this moment, the Heaven Dipper Realm expert's aura was naturally emitted by Iron Bull. Seeing that Yanglan and Wen Shi were attacking him, Mo Qingyun summoned Iron Bull and let him deal with Yanglan and Wen Shi. Bang! Under the pressure of Iron Bull's aura, Wen Shi instantly fell from the sky and were suppressed to the ground by Iron Bull's aura. Cough, cough, cough. Being suppressed by Iron Bull's aura, Yanglan and Wen Shi immediately became miserable. They lay on the ground for a long time, unable to get up, and kept vomiting blood. Looking at the half-dead Yanglan duo, Mo Qingyun revealed a mocking smile and said, "Now, do you two still think that the Pill Palace realm is awesome?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yanglan immediately revealed bitter expressions, as if their fathers had died. However, they had no choice but to be depressed. No matter how awesome he was at the Pill Palace realm, he would become a retard when facing a Heaven Dipper realm. Mo Qingyun's face darkened when he saw that the two of them were silent. He coldly said, "Since you have nothing to say, I'll send you off." As soon as they heard Mo Qingyun's words, Yanglan and Yanglan's bodies trembled. They revealed terrified expressions, not daring to doubt the truth of Mo Qingyun's words. They had seen Mo Qingyun's ruthlessness and decisiveness. Since Mo Qingyun dared to kill Sha Ao and the others, Mo Qingyun naturally dared to kill them now. Mo Qingyun, let's talk nicely. We were wrong. Please let us go this time. We won't offend you again next time. Yes, yes, yes. You want spirit fruits, right? Now, I'll give you all the spirit fruits I got. Please don't kill me, okay? For a moment, Yanglan and Wen Shi were terrified. They poured out all the spirit fruits they got in front of Mo Qingyun. Looking at their actions, the disdain in Mo Qingyun's eyes intensified. He said coldly, "I want the spirit fruits, but I also want your lives." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wen Shi's face twitched. He said with a ferocious expression, "Mo Qingyun, don't go too far. You're just a helper my Wen family invited. If you dare to kill me, the Wen family's elders won't let you go." The Wen family's elders won't let me go? When Mo Qingyun heard this, he looked at Wen Shi with eyes full of mockery. His gaze became even colder. He said, "If that's the case, I'll keep the two of you alive for now. Then, I'll kill the two of you in front of all the Wen family's elders. Tainyo, seal their cultivations." After saying this coldly, Mo Qingyun ordered Tainyo to seal Wen Shi and Wen Shi's cultivations. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Tainyo no longer hesitated. He immediately sealed Yanglan and Wen Shi's cultivations. Then, seeing Tainyo seal Wen Shi and Wen Shi's cultivations, Mo Qingyun threw them into the Heishin Palace. He planned to kill them when he returned to the Wen family. Mo Qingyun threw Wen Shi and Wen Shi into the Heishin Palace and collected the spirit fruits on the ground. He said with a serious expression, "Now that the ancient fruit forest is under my control and my cultivation has successfully broken through to the 8th layer of Yuan Dan, it's time to return to the Wen family." Transfer gate. After thinking this, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. He directly opened the transfer gate. As soon as the teleportation gate appeared, Mo Qingyun stepped into it and disappeared on the spot. When Mo Qingyun reappeared, he was already on the jade path outside the ancient fruit forest. Collect. Arriving on the jade path, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and formed a hand seal. He sent it into the ancient fruit forest and took it into his hand. After taking the ancient fruit forest, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer. He turned around and returned to the Wen family. At this time, when the ancient fruit forest was taken by Mo Qingyun, The people from the Sha and Xian families, who were still guarding outside the ancient fruit forest, were shocked when they saw the scene in front of them. The ancient fruit forest was gone. It was taken away in the blink of an eye. How could this happen? Xian Guofeng was puzzled when he saw the ancient fruit forest disappear. He looked at Sha Donglin and asked, "Brother Donglin, how could the ancient fruit forest disappear?" "I don't know either. Could it be that the expert who left the ancient fruit forest took it away?" Sha Donglin frowned and made a guess. "We can't rule out this possibility." Xian Guofeng frowned when he heard this, and then he nodded and said, "The ancient fruit grove has suddenly vanished, but Mo Qingyun is still in the ancient fruit grove. In this way, wouldn't we have no way to take revenge on him? It's best if he dies in the ancient fruit forest." Hearing Xian Guofeng mention Mo Qingyun, Sha Donglin's face turned gloomy. He said coldly, "Since we can't find him, I'll kill his clansmen to vent my anger. I heard that there are still some of his clansmen in the Meteor Mansion. Let's go and flatten the Meteor Mansion." "Okay." Xian Guofeng nodded. Then, the Sha and Xian family members walked out of the ancient fruit forest and prepared to return to Ice Glaze City. At this moment, when the Sha family members left the ancient fruit forest, Mo Qingyun was already on his way back to the Wen family. Since there was no demonic beast carriage, Mo Qingyun entered Heixian Palace and let Tai Niu bring His Highness Heixian back. Tai Niu was a Heaven Realm expert, so his speed was much faster than the demonic beast carriage. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun returned to Ice Glaze City. After returning to Ice Glaze City, Mo Qingyun didn't stop in the slightest and directly headed towards the Wen clan. After a short while, Mo Qingyun arrived at the Wen mansion. When Mo Qingyun arrived at the Wen mansion, he saw Wen Hoyuan and the others pacing back and forth at the entrance nervously. Chapter 523. "Young Lord, you're back." When Hoyuan and the others relaxed when they saw that Mo Qingyun had returned. They welcomed Mo Qingyun with joy and asked, "Young Lord, did everything go smoothly in the ancient fruit forest? Did the Sha and Xian families make things difficult for you on your way back?" "We'll talk about it when we get back." Mo Qingyun responded indifferently to Wen Hoyuan and the others' words of concern and walked directly into the Wen mansion. Wen Hoyuan and the others' expressions changed slightly when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They didn't ask any more questions and followed Mo Qingyun into the Wen mansion. A moment later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the Wen mansion's conference hall and said to Wen Hoyuan with a cold expression, "Wen Hoyuan, immediately summon all the elders of the Wen mansion and have them gather in the conference hall." "Yes." Wen Hoyuan and the others' hearts trembled when they saw Mo Qingyun's displeased expression. They immediately went to inform all the elders of the Wen mansion to gather in the conference hall. Around an hour later, all the elders of the Wen mansion arrived in the conference hall. When they arrived, they all looked at each other and looked at Mo Qingyun with reverence. They didn't know what Mo Qingyun was going to do next. Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate when he saw all the elders of the Wen mansion arrive. He directly took Wen Shi and Yang Lan out of the Heixian Palace. "Mo Qingyun, let us out. If you dare touch us, the ancestor and elders won't let you off." Wen Shi and Yang Lan were furious when they were taken out of the Heixian Palace by Mo Qingyun. They roared loudly in the conference hall. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Wen Shi and Yang Lan's expressions. They were surprised by Wen Shi and Yang Lan's appearance. Of course, other than the shock in their hearts, at this moment, there was even more fear and lingering fear in their hearts. Wen and Shi were actually scolding Mo Qingyun. This was too much. Mo Qingyun was now the master of the entire Wen clan. Wincy, these two dog-like things, actually scolded their master so arrogantly. This was really too arrogant. To put it bluntly, the actions of Wen and Shi at this moment were almost no different from seeking death. At this moment, when the Wen clan elders were shocked and frightened, Wen Shi and Wen Li saw the scene in front of them clearly. Seeing that the two of them had returned to the Wen clan and the elders of the Wen clan were all here, Wen Shi's face immediately showed a look of surprise. Wen Shi was pleasantly surprised and excitedly crawled towards one of the elders as he complained, "Elder Ho Lin, in order to monopolize the spirit fruits in the ancient fruit forest, Mo Qingyun ambushed and seriously injured us in the ancient fruit forest. He even stole our spirit fruits. Hurry up and take him down, then cripple his cultivation. Drag him out and tear him to shreds." For a moment, Wen Shi's mouth spouted vicious words one after another, wishing he could cut Mo Qingyun into pieces. Hearing Wen Shi's words, Wen Hoyuan and the others' expressions immediately twitched. Cold sweat began to form on their foreheads. At this moment, Wen Hoyuan and the others were furious. They wished they could kill Wen Shi with one slap. This kid was really too brainless. Mo Qingyun dared to throw them in front of the one clan elders. Would he not have any backup plan? Shut up. Without waiting for Wen Shi to finish speaking, Wen Hoyuan's face twitched angrily as he shouted coldly at him, interrupting his words. After interrupting Wen Shi's words, Wen Hoyuan's face was filled with awe and fear. He said respectfully to Mo Qingyun, "Young lord, Wen and Shi have offended you recklessly. If the young lord wants to punish them, please don't consider our feelings." At this moment, Wen Hoyuan's actions were undoubtedly abandoning the rook to save the king. Of course, Wen Hoyuan and the others were not fools. Seeing Wen Shi and Yanglan's performance just now, they guessed in their hearts that the matter of the ancient fruit grove was not as simple as Wen Shi said. At this moment, they were all guessing that Wen Shi and Yanglan might have underestimated Mo Qingyun and wanted to do something improper to Mo Qingyun. In the end, they were no match for Mo Qingyun and were captured by Mo Qingyun. "Young lord," hearing Wen Hoyuan's address of Mo Qingyun, Wen Shi and Yanglan immediately trembled as if they were struck by lightning. They were instantly stunned on the spot, and their bodies went limp. At this moment, their minds instantly went blank. They never would have thought that the life-saving straw in their eyes would actually be Mo Qingyun's subordinates. What was even more laughable was that he actually let Mo Qingyun's subordinates capture and kill Mo Qingyun. It had to be said that their actions and thoughts earlier were truly laughable and absurd. Wen Jun's expression immediately twitched when he saw Wen Shi and Yanglan's expressions. A feeling of kinship rose within him. Not long ago, the situation he encountered seemed to be the same as Wen Shi and Yanglan's current situation. However, he seemed to have touched upon Mo Qingyun's bottom line, so Mo Qingyun did not lower himself to his level. Looking at the current situation, what Wen Shi and Yanglan had done had probably touched upon Mo Qingyun's bottom line. Mo Qingyun felt that he needed to punish them severely. Mo Qingyun stood up coldly when he saw Wen Shi and Yanglan's stunned expressions. He approached the two of them and said coldly, "Earlier in the ancient fruit grove, I said that I would kill you in front of all the elders of the Wen clan. Now that all the elders of the Wen clan have arrived, it's time to send you on your way. Don't kill me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wen Shi and Yanglan's bodies immediately trembled and they begged in panic. Mo Qingyun chose to ignore Wen Shi's pleas and slashed at Wen Shi with the scorching flame halberd. Poochie! As the halberd fell, a stream of blood spurted out. Wen Shi's eyes widened as he fell to the ground with an unwilling look on his face. He really did not expect that he, a junior of the Wen clan, would be killed in front of all the elders of the Wen clan. This kind of death was too humiliating and cowardly. Seeing Wen Shi being killed by Mo Qingyun, Yanglan immediately turned pale with fright and a pool of yellow water flowed out from his lower body. He could not believe that Mo Qingyun had actually killed Wen Shi in front of all the elders of the Wen clan. Mo Qingyun's decisiveness had completely exceeded their expectations. He had killed without hesitation, leaving no room for negotiation. "Now it's your turn." After killing Wen Shi, Mo Qingyun's face was cold and indifferent as he turned to look at Yanglan. Don't kill me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yanglan immediately revealed a look of horror. His body trembled as he said incoherently, "Mo Qingyun, you can't kill me. The elders of the Yang clan haven't come yet. You can't kill me. I don't need to inform the Yang clan to kill you. Mo Qingyun responded disdainfully to Yang Lan's words. He swept the scorching flame halberd at Yang Lan and killed him on the spot. I don't need to inform the Yang clan to kill you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wen Jun trembled again. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and a chill ran down his spine. It was only at this moment that he truly realized that his life had been saved. Drag him away. After killing Wen Shi and Yang Lan, Mo Qingyun waved his hand at Wen Hoyuan and the others and walked out of the assembly hall. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun walked into the assembly hall, Qilian quickly walked into the hall and walked to Mo Qingyun's side and said, Young Lord, the Sha and Xian families have brought people to the Meteor Mansion. They seem to be preparing to deal with the Meteor Mansion. The Sha and Xian families are really fast. Chapter 524. Wen Hoyuan, inform Wen Song and the others to follow me to the Meteor Mansion. Before leaving, Mo Qingyun instructed Wen Hoyuan. With Wen Song and the others following him to the Meteor Mansion, he would be more confident. After all, the Sha and Xian families were part of the 8 great families. Now that they had joined forces, their strength could not be underestimated. The Meteor Mansion's current strength was insufficient. After a short while, Mo Qingyun arrived at the Meteor Mansion accompanied by the 1 family members. At this moment, the Meteor Mansion was already crowded with people. Everyone looked at the Meteor Mansion with a complicated expression. What happened? Why did the Sha and Xian families join forces? Did the Meteor Mansion offend the Sha and Xian families? I know about it too. However, the Sha and Xian families have joined forces to deal with the Meteor Mansion. I'm afraid the Meteor Mansion will not be able to escape this calamity. Sigh. The Meteor Mansion has just established themselves in the Ice Glaze City. I didn't expect such an unexpected calamity to befall them. It's really unexpected. Oomph. I heard that the Meteor Mansion was very arrogant some time ago. They annihilated the Gu family, a first-rate family in the Ice Glaze City. I didn't expect them to suffer the same fate as the Gu family. Serves them right. The Gu family is a vassal force of the Sha family. How could the Sha family remain indifferent when they were annihilated by the Meteor Mansion? It's understandable that they would seek revenge now. For a moment, everyone had a complicated expression. Some were sympathetic, some were surprised, some sighed, and of course some were gloating. After glancing at the crowd before him, Mo Qingyun raised his head to look at the sky. He stared coldly at the Sha and Xian family members in the sky with a murderous intent. Look, that's Mo Qingyun. I heard that he's the real person in charge of the Meteor Mansion. Mo Qingyun seems to be with the 1 family. Did he ask the 1 family to help him? Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, the crowd unconsciously made way for him. They looked at the 1 family members behind Mo Qingyun with reverence. In this way, Mo Qingyun gave off the feeling that he was a fox exploiting the tiger's might. As the crowd made way for Mo Qingyun, Sha Donglin, Xian Guofeng, and the others also saw Mo Qingyun in front of the 1 family. Mo Qingyun wasn't taken away by the ancient fruit grove? Xian Guofeng's eyes narrowed with shock on his face. His gaze sharpened since he was surprised by Mo Qingyun's appearance. Originally, when the ancient fruit grove suddenly disappeared, they unanimously believed that Mo Qingyun had been taken away by the ancient fruit grove. Now that Mo Qingyun had suddenly appeared, this scene fell into his eyes, and it truly surprised him. When Sha Donglin saw Mo Qingyun appear, his eyes flashed with a fierce light. He stared at Mo Qingyun like a sharp sword and said, Brad, it's good that you're here. That way, I can catch all of you in one fell swoop. Qingyun, it's good that you're back. When they saw Mo Qingyun return to the Meteor Mansion, Long Tiansheng and the others' expressions became much more relaxed, as if they had found their backbone. Old ancestor, you don't have to worry. Leave everything to me. After nodding at Long Tiansheng and the others, Mo Qingyun lifted his head and looked at the Sha and Xian families above the Meteor Mansion. His gaze immediately turned cold as he said, Sha and Xian families, I'll give you 10 breaths of time to get lost from the meteor mansion. Otherwise, none of you will be able to leave. The Sha and Xian families had to get lost from the meteor mansion in 10 breaths of time. Was Mo Qingyun threatening the people from the Sha and Xian families? When the crowd heard Mo Qingyun's words, they couldn't help but be stunned. The way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed. There were only two possibilities for Mo Qingyun's current behavior. One was that he was crazy, and the other was that he had something to rely on. Which one would he be? Just based on his good relationship with the one family, it didn't seem to be enough to protect the meteor mansion. At this moment, the crowd was puzzled. You want us to get lost in 10 breaths of time? Otherwise, you'll make us stay? Sha Donglin's expression was ferocious as he sneered in disdain. He said darkly, "Brat, you're quite arrogant. I'd like to see if you'll make us stay or if we'll destroy the meteor mansion." Sha Donglin looked at Wensong and the others coldly as he said, "Old ancestor Wensong, don't say that the Sha family didn't give you face. If you leave the meteor mansion with the one family now, I'll overlook the relationship between the one family and the meteor mansion. Thank you for your kindness, Patriarch Sha. The one family swears to live and die with the meteor mansion." Wensong expressed his opinion proudly in response to Sha Donglin's persuasion. The one family swears to live and die with the meteor mansion. Although it wasn't a long statement, it contained Wensong's determination. Seeing Wensong's attitude, the surrounding people from the various large families were immediately shocked. They didn't expect the one family to become enemies with the Sha and Xian families for the sake of the meteor mansion. They even implicated the entire one family. After this discovery, the meteor mansion's status in the eyes of the crowd instantly increased by countless times. To be valued by a super family, the meteor mansion wasn't simple. Wensong, it wasn't easy for the one family to survive until now. Don't destroy the one family's countless years of foundation because of a little impulse. Xian Guofeng's face darkened when he saw Wensong's attitude. He threatened, "Don't forget that the Sha family is ranked 4th among the 8 major families in the Ice Glaze City. Yuan family is only ranked 5th, while my Xian family is ranked 6th. If my Xian family and the Sha family join forces, it's not something Yuan family can handle." When Xian Guofeng said this, everyone's expression changed. They immediately felt that the meteor mansion and the one family had no chance of winning. "We swear to live and die with the meteor mansion." Wensong's old face was still as determined as before when he heard Xian Guofeng's words. His tone didn't have the slightest fluctuation. When he saw Wensong's expression, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile. He was very satisfied with Wensong's performance. "Since you're courting death, we'll fulfill your wish." When he saw Wensong's attitude, Sha Donglin's face sank, and he said coldly, "Attack!" Boom! Boom! At this moment, when Sha Donglin was about to order the Sha family members to attack, waves of shocking auras approached from all directions with extreme speed. These people were from the other 5 major families of the Ice Glaze City's 8 major families. They were also alarmed and all rushed over to the meteor mansion. In this way, the 8 major forces of the Ice Glaze City had all gathered at the meteor mansion. The meteor mansion that had just established itself in the Ice Glaze City had actually attracted the 8 major families of the Ice Glaze City to gather here. This ability was enough to make them proud. Even if the meteor mansion was destroyed today, it would still become a legend in the Ice Glaze City. When everyone was shocked, a silver-robed old man walked out from the group of the other 5 major families and said with a smile, "Haha, how lively. I didn't expect everyone to be here today." Brother Yen, when they heard this old man's words, the members of the other 7 major families all revealed reverence and bowed in response to this old man. This was because this old man was the head of the 8 major families, the Yin family patriarch, Yin Yiquan. However, Mo Qingyun's attention at this moment fell onto the young girl in a pink dress beside the silver-robed old man. Chapter 525. Family Head Sha. Family Head Xian, what's the matter? Can't we all sit down and have a chat? After exchanging a few pleasantries with the crowd, the silver-robed elder, Yin Yiquan, smiled faintly and looked at Sha Donglin and Xianqing. Brother Yin, this is a grudge between us and the Meteor Mansion. Please don't get involved. Hearing the silver-robed elder's words, Sha Donglin and Xianqing immediately frowned, and some worry flashed in their eyes. They were very worried that Yin Yiquan would also get involved. If that was the case, the result would be somewhat troublesome. One should know that the Yin family's strength was extremely terrifying. The Yin family alone could easily wipe out the 7 families. Hearing Sha Donglin's words, Yin Yiquan did not immediately reply. Instead, he looked at the young lady beside him with a loving expression and said with a faint smile, "Go back to the family first. I'll take care of the matters here for you." "Thank you, master." Hearing that, the young lady walked step by step into the Meteor Mansion under everyone's gaze. Seeing the young lady walk into the Meteor Mansion, everyone's expression changed drastically. They were extremely shocked by this scene. This young lady was also a member of the Meteor Mansion. Moreover, she was the disciple of the Yin family's family head, Yin Yiquan. Hiss! After this discovery, everyone immediately gasped, and reverence towards the Meteor Mansion arose in their hearts. An inconspicuous Meteor Mansion had unknowingly formed a relationship with the 2 super families of the Ice Glaze City. Moreover, one of them was the real overlord family of the Ice Glaze City, the Yin family. This ability was far from what other families could compare to. At this moment, a thought arose in everyone's mind. The Meteor Mansion would not be destroyed today. "Qingyun, ancestor, are you all right?" The young lady walked into the Meteor Mansion with a sweet smile on her face and greeted everyone. Then, the young lady walked to Mo Qingyun's side and stopped. She winked at Mo Qingyun and said, "This time, I'm finally not standing aside and watching you fight alone." This young lady was naturally Long Hanyan. Oh, hearing Long Hanyan's words, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly stunned. He was a little surprised by Long Hanyan's words. He smiled faintly and muttered to himself, "So this little girl has always had such thoughts in her heart." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Long Hanyan. However, he did not say anything to her. Everyone was shocked by Long Hanyan's identity. Yin Yiquan's face turned solemn as he looked at Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng with a sharp gaze. "Patriarch Sha, Patriarch Xian, the people in the Meteor Mansion are the clansmen of my beloved disciple, Long Hanyan. Can you give me some face and put an end to the grudge between the 2 of you?" At this moment, Yin Yiquan seemed to be discussing with Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng, but anyone with a discerning eye could tell that his words carried an undeniable tone. Hearing Yin Yiquan's words, Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng immediately clenched their fists with their faces twitching. Yin Yiquan had gone too far. However, although they were furious, they did not dare to show it immediately. They had no choice. The Yin clan was too powerful. With the Yin clan's strength, they could easily sweep through the entire Ice Glaze City. More importantly, the Yin clan and the mysterious Ice Palace's Ice Glaze Peak were of the same origin. The mysterious Ice Palace's Ice Glaze Peak was a branch of the mysterious Ice Palace's Tiangang Peak. With such a powerful background, who would dare to go against the Yin clan? Although they were afraid of the Yin clan, Mo Qingyun had killed the geniuses of both their clans. If they were to leave just like that, they would not be willing to accept it. Immediately, Sha Donglin suppressed the anger and respect in his heart. He looked at Yin Yiquan with an unwilling expression and said, "Patriarch Yin, the grudge between our clans and the Meteor Mansion is irreconcilable. I can give you some face and not vent my anger on your disciple, Long Hanyan. Please don't interfere in this matter." Oof. If I can't even protect my disciple's clansmen, won't she blame me in the future? Hearing Sha Donglin's words, Yin Yiquan immediately snorted and said with a displeased expression, "So, you're saying that you're not willing to let this matter go? Forgive us for not being able to comply." Hearing Yin Yiquan's words, Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng gritted their teeth and said reluctantly, "Very well." Hearing Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng's reply, Yin Yiquan's face turned gloomy. He said coldly, If that's the case, the Yin clan can only fight side by side with the Meteor Mansion. The Yin clan wanted to fight side by side with the Meteor Mansion. Hearing Yin Equan's words, everyone's expression changed drastically. They were shocked by his words. Of course, what shocked them even more was the Meteor Mansion's appeal and influence. A small Meteor Mansion could make two super clans not hesitate to offend the Sha and Xin clans to live and die with it. This result was simply too out of everyone's expectations. Let's go. Seeing Yin Equan's strong attitude, Sha Donglin and Xian Guofeng's expressions immediately changed. In the end, they did not dare to fight against the Yin clan. Let's go. After Sha Donglin finished speaking, he glanced at Qian gloomily and left with the Sha clan's people. Although he was extremely unwilling, he had no choice but to give in front of the Yin clan. Seeing Sha Donglin leave with the Sha clan's people, Xian Guofeng did not stay any longer and also left with the Xian clan's people. Seeing the Sha and Xian clans leave with their tails between their legs, everyone sighed in their hearts. They did not expect this outcome. Han Yin, since the matter with the Meteor Mansion has been settled, Master will return to the Ice Glaze Martial Mansion first. Seeing the Sha and Xian clans leave, Yin Equan smiled faintly at Long Han Yin. He turned to look at Mo Qingyun and said with interest, "Little guy, you're not bad." A little guy in the 8th stage of Yuan Dan can lead the Meteor Mansion to establish a strong foothold in the Ice Glaze City. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Little guy, I'm very optimistic about your future. Yin Equan sighed slightly and paused for a moment. He smiled faintly and said, "In addition, the doors of the Ice Glaze Martial Mansion and the doors of the Black Ice Palace's Ice Glaze Peak will always be open to you. You're welcome to come at any time." When Yin Equan said this, everyone's expression changed again. The way they looked at Mo Qingyun also changed. Yin Equan's words were a little too obvious in his intention to recruit Mo Qingyun. Of course, this also showed how much importance Yin Equan placed on Mo Qingyun in his heart. Many thanks for Senior's favor. Qingyun still needs to discuss this matter with the elders of the clan. Hearing Yin Equan's words, Mo Qingyun revealed a grateful expression and gave Yin Equan an ambiguous answer. At this moment, everyone could hear that Mo Qingyun was indirectly rejecting Yin Equan. It was just that his words were more tactful. Discuss with the elders of the clan? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yin Equan also quickly understood Mo Qingyun's thoughts. He revealed a regretful expression and sighed. "It seems that my Ice Glaze Martial Mansion and Ice Glaze Peak are still too small. If that's the case, when you're free, come visit this old man with Yin Equan. Junior will definitely visit in the future." Chapter 526. All right. Seeing Mo Qingyun's answer, Yin Equan nodded and left with the Yin clan. After the Yin clan left, the other clans also left one after another. With this, the matter of the Sha clan invading the Meteor Mansion came to an end. However, when the other clans left, some of the more quick-witted patriarchs greeted Mo Qingyun one after another, wanting to express their goodwill to the Meteor Mansion. In their opinion, with the relationship between the Meteor Mansion, the Wen clan, and the Yin clan, they would definitely rise in Ice Glaze City in the future. If the development went smoothly, it was not impossible for the Meteor Mansion to become the 9th super clan in Ice Glaze City in the future. At this time, it was very necessary to establish a good relationship with the Meteor Mansion. Mo Qingyun did not pay attention to the patriarch's goodwill and directly asked Wen Song and the others to send them away. Ancestor Wen Song, long time no see. Yin Shu, the patriarch of the Yi clan, greeted Wen Song and the others before leaving. He said to Wen Hoyuan, "Brother Hoyuan, a junior of Wen clan, Wen Zhaodi, once asked us to treat the fire poison in her body. A few days ago, we thought of a way. I wonder if she would like to try again." The fire poison in Zhaodi's body? Wen Hoyuan's expression changed slightly, revealing a faint smile. He thanked Yin Shu and said, "Thank you for your concern, Yin Shu. However, The fire poison in Zhaoti's body has been cured, so we won't bother you anymore. It's cured. Some of the elders of the Yi clan were surprised when they heard this. They were surprised by Wen Ho Yuan's answer. They were very clear about the fire poison in Wen Zhaoti's body. It was not so easy to cure it. Since he could cure the fire poison in Wen Zhaoti's body, this person's attainments in alchemy should surpass all of them. After thinking about this, Yin Shu revealed a curious expression and said expectantly, I wonder if it's convenient for Brother Ho Yuan to introduce us to the expert who cured the fire poison in Zhaoti's body. When Ho Yuan revealed a troubled expression when he heard this. He glanced at Mo Qingyun, hesitating whether or not he should ask Mo Qingyun. For Yin Shu to be able to become the Yi family head, his eyesight naturally far exceeded that of ordinary people. When Ho Yuan's actions were quickly captured by him. Seeing Wen Ho Yuan's actions, Yin Shu's expression immediately changed. Shock rose in his heart. Could it be that the person who cured Wen Zhaoti's fire poison was Mo Qingyun? As soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Yin Shu immediately scared himself quite badly. His expression became nervous as he asked Wen Ho Yuan, Brother Ho Yuan, could it be that the person who cured Wen Zhaoti of the fire poison in her body was Mo Qingyun? Yes. Seeing that Yin Shu had guessed it, Wen Ho Yuan no longer concealed it and nodded with a serious expression. Hiss. Seeing Wen Ho Yuan's actions, the Yi family elders were all shocked and involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air. The fire poison that they were helpless against had been cured by a kid with an 8th level Yuan Dan cultivation. This result was too shocking for them. One had to know that their attainments in alchemy had already reached the level of a 3rd level Pill King. Could it be that Mo Qingyun's attainments in alchemy had already reached the level of a 4th level Pill King? Yuan Dan 8th level cultivation, less than 20 years old, and his attainments in alchemy had already reached the level of a 4th level Pill King. What kind of alchemy talent was this? At this moment, the minds of Yin Shu and the others suddenly went blank. With the alchemy talent that Mo Qingyun had displayed, it was extremely likely that he would become a pill sovereign. He even had some hope of becoming a pill venerate. A pill venerate. Thinking of this, Yin Shu and the others' heartbeats quickened. A person who had the potential to become a pill venerate had actually appeared in front of them. This was simply too shocking. They had to be on good terms with Mo Qingyun. At this moment, this thought appeared in the minds of Yin Shu and the others. Then, Yin Shu's expression turned solemn. He turned to Wen Ho Yuan and asked, Brother Ho Yuan, you and I have known each other for many years. I have a presumptuous request that I don't know if you can help me this once. Seeing Yin Shu's expression, Wen Ho Yuan frowned slightly. He pondered for a moment and said, Brother Yin Shu, what request do you have? I would like to trouble you to introduce me to Mo Qingyun. Yin Shu looked at Wen Ho Yuan expectantly. Wen Ho Yuan looked troubled and immediately fell silent. After a pause, he said, At this moment, I can't guarantee that Mr. Mo will be willing to be on good terms with you. Later, I will ask Mr. Mo for you. Whether or not you succeed will depend on your luck. Many thanks, Brother Ho Yuan. Yin Shu immediately thanked Wen Ho Yuan and cupped his hands. In that case, we will leave first and wait for your good news in the Yi family. Brother Yin Shu, you're too kind. Wen Ho Yuan also cupped his hands and sent the Yi family off. After the Yi family left, Wen Ho Yuan went to Mo Qingyun's residence to ask Mo Qingyun if he was willing to be on good terms with the Yi family. Mr. Qi, is the young lord in his room? When he arrived outside Mo Qingyun's room, Wen Ho Yuan respectfully asked Qi Lian, who was outside the room. Qi Lian was Mo Qingyun's trusted aide. His terrifying comprehension ability in terms of concepts still made Wen Ho Yuan admire him greatly. The young lord has just gone into seclusion. I'm afraid he won't come out for a while. Hearing Wen Ho Yuan's words, Qi Lian nodded and replied with an indifferent sentence. He then asked, Elder Ho Yuan, why are you looking for the young master? It's like this. The Yi family wants to be on good terms with the young lord. When Ho Yuan briefly explained Yin Shu's idea to Qi Lian, Qi Lian's expression changed slightly, and he said calmly, There's no need to rush this matter. If the Yi family really wants to be on good terms with the young lord, they naturally won't mind waiting a few more days. Let's wait until the young lord comes out of seclusion. All right, in that case, I'll take my leave first. Wen Hoyuan responded and left Mo Qingyun's small courtyard to wait for Mo Qingyun to come out of seclusion. In the cultivation room of He Xian's palace, Mo Qingyun took out the sacred beast cauldron and various alchemy herbs and placed them neatly beside him. After making all the preparations, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately sent a martial soul fire into the sacred beast cauldron. Then, Mo Qingyun threw the various alchemy herbs into the sacred beast cauldron and began refining and purifying them. Mo Qingyun could be said to be very familiar with this process. The entire process was as easy as pie for him. As such, everything that followed proceeded in an orderly manner. 3 days later, Mo Qingyun's tense expression immediately relaxed. At that moment, a pill fragrance came from the sacred beast cauldron. The refinement of the sacred star soul elixir was successful. It's done. Mo Qingyun was overjoyed. He couldn't wait to open the sacred beast cauldron and take out the sacred star soul elixir. Chapter 5:27. Since I've successfully refined the stellar saint soul elixir, it's time for my soul cultivation to break through to the heavenly spirit realm. Looking at the stellar saint soul elixir in his hand, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately took out a stellar saint soul elixir and consumed it. As soon as the stellar saint soul elixir entered his mouth, Mo Qingyun felt a surge of pure soul power rush into his head. As soon as this pure soul power entered his head, Mo Qingyun felt his mind shake. He suddenly felt as if his ears and eyes had become much sharper. As soon as this feeling appeared, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He began to refine the soul power in his head. As he continued to refine the soul power in his head, Mo Qingyun found that his senses were becoming stronger and stronger. Originally, his soul's senses were only able to sense things within 500 meters. This was already his limit. But now, as he continued to refine the soul power, his soul's senses easily exceeded 500 meters. Seeing that his soul's senses had increased, Mo Qingyun was delighted. He worked even harder to refine the soul power of the elixir. As Mo Qingyun continued to refine the soul power of the elixir, his soul's senses continued to increase. 2 days later, the soul power of the stellar saint soul elixir was completely refined and absorbed by Mo Qingyun. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's soul senses had successfully reached 550 meters. 20 days later, the soul power of the 10 stellar saint soul elixirs was completely refined and absorbed by Mo Qingyun. After refining the 10 stellar saint soul elixirs, Mo Qingyun's soul cultivation finally broke through the mid-spirit origin realm and entered the late spirit origin realm. With the breakthrough in his soul cultivation, Mo Qingyun's soul senses took a huge leap and broke through 800 meters. Late spirit origin realm. After his soul cultivation broke through to the late spirit origin realm, Mo Qingyun didn't stop cultivating. Instead, he prepared to break through to the heavenly spirit realm in one go. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun took out another stellar saint soul elixir to refine and increase his soul's cultivation. Following that, under Mo Qingyun's continuous refinement of the stellar saint soul pills, his soul power also rose along with the tide. A month later, Mo Qingyun's soul senses successfully broke through to 900 meters. 2 months later, all 21 stellar saint soul elixirs were refined by Mo Qingyun. Fortunately, his soul's senses finally broke through 1,000 meters. His soul perception had broken through 1,000 meters. This meant that Mo Qingyun's soul had finally broken through to the sky spirit realm. Heavenly spirit realm. At this moment, a surprise smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's Saint Soul Elixir's face. Although Lin S to the spirit origin realm, soul elixir was to lens to the heavenly spirit soul, saint soul spirits. Saint soul realm to spirit realm was to spirit heavenly spirit realm, heavenly spirit origin realm. Spirit realm to the spirit spirit heavenly spirit spirit realm. If others were to find out about his cultivation speed, they would probably be scared to death. After breaking through to the spirit origin realm, Mo Qingyun wasn't in a hurry to stop. Instead, he continued to cultivate and stabilize his current level. Just like that, another day passed. After a day of cultivation and consolidation, his heavenly spirit realm finally stabilized. Mo Qingyun then stood up and walked out of the spirit origin realm. Walking out of the spirit origin realm, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and returned to his room from the Hexian Palace. "Young lord, are you done cultivating?" Qilian called out to Mo Qingyun when he saw him open the door. However, Qilian quickly frowned and became bewildered in his heart. The young lord seems to be a bit different after this closed-door cultivation, but his cultivation doesn't seem to have changed. Some doubts arose in Qilian's heart, but he didn't ask any questions. "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded in response and asked, "After Hao Sha and Hao Xian left, did anything unusual happen in the past few days?" "No. After Hao Sha and Hao Xian returned, there hasn't been anything unusual." Qilian's face was cold as he replied to Mo Qingyun. "Young lord, after you went into closed-door cultivation, Elder Wen Hoyuan came once and said that Yin Shu, the head of House E, wants to make friends with you. What do you think?" "House E?" Mo Qingyun's face showed some surprise when he heard this. He was a little surprised by Yin Shu's idea. Speaking of which, his relationship with House E wasn't very good. Previously at the Ice Glaze Auction House, he had some bad blood with Yi Qiufen. "Go and tell Wen Hoyuan to inform House E to come. I'm quite curious about this alchemy family." After thinking for a while, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said to Qilian, "I'll go and inform Elder Wen Hoyuan." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qilian didn't hesitate anymore and prepared to inform Wen Hoyuan. "Qilian, wait a moment." Seeing that Qilian was about to leave, Mo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up and he hurriedly called out to Qilian, "Young lord, do you have any other orders?" Qilian stopped and turned his head to ask. Seeing that Qilian had stopped, Mo Qingyun took out the bloodthirsty claw and Song Yin's sword and handed them to Qilian. "Here are 2 high-grade magic tools that are suitable for you and Tang Zhan. Take them and let Tang Zhan refine them." High-grade magic tools. Looking at the bloodthirsty claw and azure flame sword that Mo Qingyun handed over, Qilian's expression immediately changed. He was pleasantly surprised as he said, "This claw is quite suitable for this old servant. With the help of this high-grade magic artifact, this old servant has the confidence to fight even against a Heaven Dipper Stage 7 expert. All right, you can leave now." After taking away the high-grade magic tools that couldn't be handed over to Qilian, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and signaled him to inform Wen Hoyuan. Qilian nodded and left Mo Qingyun's courtyard. "Now that my soul cultivation has broken through to the heavenly spirit realm, I'm afraid that I won't be able to break through again in a short period of time." After Qilian left, Mo Qingyun began to think about the direction of his cultivation. "It seems that I can only continue to increase my cultivation. However, what kind of ultimacy should I comprehend next? All right, now that my ultimacy of life is complete, I'll head to the back of the Immortal Road. I wonder what's behind the Immortal Road?" After thinking for a while, Mo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up and a sense of anticipation and curiosity rose in his heart. Immediately, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately returned to his room, preparing to enter his martial spirit world to take a look. After returning to his room, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately summoned the Light Gate martial spirit. After summoning the Light Gate martial spirit, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately entered his martial spirit world. After entering his martial spirit world, Mo Qingyun didn't stop on the Immortal Road and directly walked towards the inner part of the Immortal Road. Now that his ultimacy of life was complete, it was much easier for him to walk on the Immortal Road than before. After a while, Mo Qingyun walked to the end of the immortal road and saw an ancient stone door. Chapter 528. As soon as Mo Qingyun entered the stone door, the scene in front of him changed. Then, Mo Qingyun found himself at the bottom of a tall cliff. At the bottom of the cliff, there were ferocious carnivorous vultures gnawing on the corpses of monsters. Wah 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 in the air, there was a flock of crows cawing, their eyes flashing with a dark, cold light. At this moment, the scene in front of Mo Qingyun immediately gave him a sinister feeling, as if he had entered hell. But what shocked Mo Qingyun even more was the fact that he found that his lifespan was slipping away. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his body was aging. His skin was becoming coarse and wrinkled. My lifespan is slipping away. This discovery shocked Mo Qingyun quite a bit, and he hurriedly retreated into the stone door. Then, Mo Qingyun retreated into the stone door and returned to the path of immortality. As Mo Qingyun returned to the path of immortality, he found that his aging skin was gradually recovering. Seeing that his skin was recovering, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed a little. The lifespan that he had just lost seemed to have recovered. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed. His face was full of shock as he exclaimed, "The path of immortality restores one's lifespan, but the cliff just now took away one's lifespan. This means that the cliff is filled with the esoteric meaning of death. The esoteric meaning of death is indeed powerful, to be able to take away one's lifespan." Thinking back to the situation just now, Mo Qingyun felt a sense of lingering fear. He couldn't help but sigh. No wonder the Withered Soul King was called the God of Death by the various sections. This method of taking away another's life is too shocking. At this moment, Mo Qingyun thought of a transcendent powerhouse who had comprehended the esoteric meaning of death on the Tian'an continent. Of course, the Withered Soul King's esoteric meaning of death had already evolved into the power of the edicts. It was said that under the edicts of death, there would be no living things within 1,000 miles. The lifespan of all living things would be instantly sucked away by him. If I can comprehend the profound of death, it's not a bad choice. When Mo Qingyun thought that he could use the power of Upanishad to extract the life force of others, he was tempted. In the future, when he fought with others, even if he wasn't a match for them, he could use the energy of death to extract the lifespan of others. It would probably be a headache for them. After thinking about it this way, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and once again walked through the stone door. Mo Qingyun soon felt a wave of death profundity invade him and begin to extract his lifespan when he entered the valley again. Now that he was mentally prepared, Mo Qingyun no longer panicked when faced with the invasion of the death intent. Undying Cliff. Mo Qingyun scanned his surroundings briefly before he saw the words Undying Cliff written in red above the cliff. After that, Mo Qingyun started walking towards the Undying Cliff. However, as soon as Mo Qingyun started walking towards the Undying Cliff, he noticed that his lifespan was being extracted at a faster speed. Could it be that the closer I am to the Undying Cliff, the faster my lifespan will be extracted? After he noticed this, Mo Qingyun stopped moving, and then he started to retreat as he said to himself, "Now, it would seem like I have to comprehend the profundities of death in order to counteract the profundities of death in this place." When he thought up to this point, Mo Qingyun stopped hesitating. He sat down cross-legged and started to comprehend the profundity of death in the surroundings. As Mo Qingyun sat down cross-legged and sensed the profundity of death in the surroundings, the aura of life within him was being extracted bit by bit as well. Just like that, along with the passage of time, Mo Qingyun's appearance changed from a young man to a young man, then middle-aged man. This won't do. If this continues, then I might really die of old age here. About a day later, Mo Qingyun stopped comprehending. He immediately got up and returned to the immortality path to replenish his lifespan. As Mo Qingyun returned to the immortality path, His lifespan, extracted from the undying cliff, began to recover bit by bit. After he noticed this, Emo Qingyun revealed a wisp of a faint smile, and he muttered to himself, "This world behind the door of light is really strange. Two such strange worlds have actually appeared here. However, with the path of longevity to replenish my lifespan, I wouldn't have to worry too much about comprehending the profundities of death on the cliff of death. With my current speed, I should be able to explore the profundity of death in 5 days." Mo Qingyun was a little excited at the thought that he would be able to comprehend the profundity of death in 5 days. About a day later, Mo Qingyun's lifespan that was deprived in the undying cliff was completely restored. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun prepared to enter the undying cliff again and continue to comprehend the profundity of death. "Young lord, the people from the clan are here." At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to enter the immortality path, Qi Lian sent him a soul message. "They're here? They're quite fast." After receiving Qi Lian's soul message, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and did not enter the undying cliff again. Then, Mo Qingyun left the martial spirit world and walked out of his room to the conference hall. He was going to meet the people from the Yi clan. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived at the conference hall of the Meteor Mansion. On the left side of the conference hall, he saw Yin Shu and the others. "Haha, little brother Qingyun, I'm here to disturb you." Seeing Mo Qingyun enter the conference hall, Yin Shu immediately smiled brightly and stood up to greet Mo Qingyun. "Haha, patriarchy, you're too polite." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said politely, "I heard from Elder Wen Hoyuan that Patriarch Yi is looking for me. May I know why you're looking for me?" Yin Shu was stunned by Mo Qingyun's straightforwardness. He was surprised by Mo Qingyun's straightforwardness. However, Yin Shu did not mind. After being stunned for a while, he said seriously, "Little brother Qingyun, a few days ago, I heard from brother Qingyun that you cured the fire poison in Wen Zhaoti's body. Therefore, I would like to discuss alchemy with little brother Qingyun." "Discuss alchemy with me?" Mo Qingyun was stunned. Then, he looked meaningfully at Yin Shu and smiled. He thought to himself, this guy has good eyesight. It's not easy to discuss alchemy with me. "Haha, I'm sorry for being rude." Yin Shu saw that Mo Qingyun was silent and showed an apologetic look. He gritted his teeth and said, "To be honest, little brother Qingyun, not long ago, the Yi family obtained an ancient elixir recipe for the immortal gold elixir. I wonder if little brother Qingyun has heard of it?" Yin Shu was very clear that alchemy was very particular about inheriting alchemy skills from one's teacher to another. Under normal circumstances, alchemists would rarely share their alchemy skills with others. As such, what he said just now was indeed a little too abrupt. Therefore, he planned to spend a lot of money to take out the ancient elixir recipe that the Yi family had kept for many years for Mo Qingyun to appreciate and study. He wanted to make a good impression on Mo Qingyun. Chapter 529. Speaking of which, the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir had been in the hands of the Yi family for a long time. However, the Yi family was still unable to refine the immortal gold elixir with their alchemy skills. They had spent a lot of manpower and material resources to do so. Originally, Yin Shu and the others had sealed the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir and decided not to try to refine it. However, when they learned about Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills, their hearts were rekindled with hope, and they wanted to let Mo Qingyun try it out. In their opinion, giving the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir to Mo Qingyun and let Mo Qingyun try to refine, it would allow them to see if Mo Qingyun could refine it. Secondly, they could also use this to attract Mo Qingyun's interest and suggest that they be on good terms with Mo Qingyun. This was simply killing two birds with one stone. Immortal gold elixir? Mo Qingyun was stunned when he heard this. Then, a curious look appeared on his face. He smiled faintly and said, "This immortal gold elixir is extremely famous, and I have naturally heard of it. It is said that this immortal gold elixir has the effect of reviving flesh and bones." Family head is very lucky to have this elixir formula. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun was talking about the immortal gold elixir, he was not concerned about the elixir formula, but the immortal spring water. The immortal spring water was said to come from a foreign continent, and was a treasure in the eyes of warriors who cultivated the power of death. It was extremely difficult to obtain under normal circumstances. Mo Qingyun had not expected that the Yi family would actually have such a thing in their hands. This really surprised him. "Little brother Qingyun, you must be joking." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yi Yinshu's eyes immediately lit up, and a sense of surprise rose in his heart. Mo Qingyun actually knew about the immortal gold elixir and seemed to be more familiar with it, at least more familiar than they were. After all, after reading countless books, their understanding of the immortal gold elixir was even less than what Mo Qingyun had just said. "Little brother Qingyun, we have obtained the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir for some time and have also studied it for a period of time." Speaking of this, Yinshu revealed an ashamed expression and sighed. "But in the end, not only did we fail to refine the pill, but we also wasted a lot of manpower and resources. Now, we're looking for little brother Qingyun because we want to ask you to research it with us. You want me to study immortal gold elixir with you?" Hearing Yinshu's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He was a bit surprised by Yinshu's open-mindedness. An elixir formula was a priceless treasure to alchemists. Many times, an alchemist could obtain a lost pill recipe and become a world-renowned alchemist grandmaster. Now, Yinshu was actually willing to share the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir with Mo Qingyun. His action was somewhat unexpected. However, Mo Qingyun did not immediately agree. Instead, he said awkwardly, "Patriarch the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir is too precious. Wouldn't it be inappropriate for an outsider like me to study it with you?" Yinshu's expression immediately changed when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He looked a little worried. In Yinshu's opinion, Mo Qingyun was not being polite. Instead, he was hinting that he should keep a distance from the Yi family and was unwilling to be on good terms with them. Yinshu panicked when he thought of this and quickly said, "Little brother Qingyun, I know that asking you to study the elixir formula will take up a lot of your cultivation time, but don't worry, we are willing to compensate you for the time you spend studying the elixir formula." "Give me enough compensation?" Mo Qingyun immediately shook his head and smiled bitterly. He did not know what to say. There was actually such a good thing in the world. He had already taken advantage of the Yi family by looking at the elixir formula of the immortal gold elixir. However, Yinshu still wanted to compensate him for delaying his cultivation time. Mo Qingyun could not find a reason to reject Yinshu's offer. Mo Qingyun felt that if he did not agree to Yinshu's request, he would be too cruel. "Since that is the case, I will respectfully accept your offer." Mo Qingyun chuckled and nodded at Yinshu. There was a trace of embarrassment in his eyes. Yinshu and the others relaxed when they saw that Mo Qingyun had agreed. They were pleasantly surprised. As far as they were concerned, their trip to the Meteor Mansion this time was finally worth it, and they'd achieved the objective they'd set out to achieve. Yinshu and the others felt a lot more relaxed when they saw that Mo Qingyun had agreed to discuss alchemy with them. The atmosphere of the conversation also became much more lively. After chatting for a while, Yinshu and the others knew when to stop and did not continue to stay in the Meteor Mansion. "In that case, I will be waiting for little brother Qingyun at the Yi family tomorrow." Before leaving, Yinshu did not forget to remind Mo Qingyun. He was afraid that Mo Qingyun would suddenly change his mind the next day. "Young lord, Yinshu and the others are trying to please you for no reason. If you go to the Yi family, I'm afraid there will be a trap," Qilian said worriedly after sending Yinshu and the others away. "No." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "You don't understand alchemy. You can't understand how Yinshu and the others feel. That's why you think that way." "Oh." When Qilian heard this, he looked at Mo Qingyun with a puzzled expression. He wanted Mo Qingyun to clear up his confusion. Alchemy, formation, and weapon refinement are all very particular about the inheritance of a master. Without the inheritance of a master, it will be extremely difficult to make progress in the later stages. Mo Qingyun explained briefly and paused for a moment. If I'm not mistaken, the Yi family and the others should be stuck at a bottleneck in alchemy. They don't know how to make a breakthrough. Mo Qingyun continued. For them, my appearance is an opportunity for them to break through the bottleneck. Of course, they may have befriended me because they feel that I have an alchemy sect behind me. They want to get in touch with the sect behind me through me. I see. Qi Lian immediately understood after hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation. He smiled faintly and said, if that's the case, the family and the others will be disappointed. Young Lord doesn't have an alchemy sect behind him. I'm afraid he won't be able to break through the bottleneck. That's not the case. Mo Qingyun waved his hand and smiled playfully. He didn't explain further. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Qi Lian immediately understood and said with a smile, this old servant is stupid. The young lord's alchemy attainments are not inferior to the elders of the great alchemy sections. If the young lord is willing to guide the Yi family and the others, it will be their good fortune. After expressing his thoughts, Qi Lian frowned and looked puzzled. He said, young lord, since you know the Yi family's thoughts, why did you agree to them? Are you interested in the immortal golden pill? No. Mo Qingyun waved his hand and said with a bright smile, I'm not interested in the immortal golden pill, but I'm interested in the materials used to refine it. I see. Chapter 530. In a small courtyard of the Yi family. Clatter. A pile of bowls and chopsticks fell from the table and hit the ground with a crisp sound. A bunch of useless trash. You can't even cook properly. Is this for humans to eat? The young man flipped the table over with a furious look on his face. He scolded the people around him. Even pigs won't eat these things if you give them to pigs. This young man was none other than Yi Qiufeng, who competed with Mo Qingyun for the mysterious painting at the ice glaze auction house. Yi Qiufeng had been in a bad mood recently. First, she failed to compete with Mo Qingyun for the mysterious painting. Then, there was the explosion of her elixir, which almost destroyed her hands. It's all because that kid stole my mysterious painting. My luck has worsened. Yi Qiufeng's expression turned ferocious when she thought of her recent misfortune. She gnashed her teeth and said, Kid, you better not let me meet you. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death. Slap. As soon as Yi Qiufeng finished speaking, she fiercely slapped the chair beside her, shattering it into pieces. Perhaps because she used too much strength, she pulled on her wound and couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. Seeing Yi Qiufeng's actions, the servants around her trembled in fear, afraid that Yi Qiufeng would vent her anger on them again. Cousin Qiufeng, what made you so angry? At this moment, while Yi Qiufeng was fuming, a sloppy young man walked in from outside the courtyard. Seeing the young man walk in, Yi Qiufeng didn't give him a good look and said coldly, Yi Qiuchuan, you came to find me. Did you get into trouble again? Cousin Qiufeng knows me well. Yi Qiuchuan laughed embarrassedly when he heard this. He rolled his eyes and said, However, Cousin Qiufeng, you guessed wrong this time. I came to find you this time because I have something good to share with you. You have something good to share with me? Yi Qiufeng looked doubtful. She didn't believe Yi Qiuchuan's words at all. She said impatiently, Tell me, what do you want from me? I don't have time to play riddles with you. Hearing Yi Qiufeng's words, Yi Qiuchuan no longer kept Yi Qiufeng in suspense. He excitedly whispered into Yi Qiufeng's ear, Elder Cousin Qiufeng, a new group of foreign beauties have recently arrived at the lingering fragrance brothel. That small waist, that figure, and that supple skin are truly beyond words. I haven't even had the chance to enjoy them before I came to inform you. Not bad. Hearing this, Yi Qiufeng's eyes lit up. She nodded with a faint smile and said, But my hands have not recovered from the serious injuries. I'm afraid I can't go with you. You go by yourself. Hearing Yi Qiufeng's words, Yi Qiuchuan smiled vulgarly. He winked at Yi Qiufeng and said with a mischievous smile, Cousin Qiufeng, You haven't tried being passive, right? Although your hand is injured, you can still try to be passive. Passive. Xiaofeng's expression changed. She immediately revealed a look of anticipation and said with a mischievous smile, "Your suggestion is not bad. Let's go to the lingering fragrance brothel now. Let me see the foreign beauties." Then, Xiaofeng left the small courtyard and went to the lingering fragrance brothel. The night passed uneventfully. The next day, Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian left the Meteor Mansion at the agreed time with Yin Shu and headed to the Yi family. After walking out of the Meteor Mansion, Mo Qingyun directly soared into the sky and flew in the direction of the Yi family. Now that his soul cultivation had broken through to the heavenly spirit realm, he could fly in the air like a Dan Palace expert. Flying in the air. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qi Lian's expression changed. He revealed a look of surprise and said to himself, "The young lord can actually fly in the air with a cultivation of the 8th Yuan Dan realm. He really can't be underestimated by ordinary people." After a moment of surprise, Qi Lian didn't think too much and immediately followed Mo Qingyun. Half an hour later, Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian arrived at the Yi family residence. Mo Qingyun of the Meteor Mansion, please pass on a message to the Yi family head. Outside the Yi family residence, Mo Qingyun indifferently said to the guard, indicating for them to pass on the message. "Young master, please wait a moment." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the guard responded respectfully and hurriedly ran into the Yi family residence. The guard could see that Mo Qingyun's identity was extraordinary, so he didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest in response to Mo Qingyun's orders. At this moment, the guard went to pass on the message. Two young men walked out of the Yi family residence with a mischievous smile on their faces. They seemed to be discussing some vulgar topic. The two young men walked out of the Yi family residence and rampaged all the way, completely ignoring Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian who were standing at the door. Bang! Then, the young man in the brocade robe slammed his arm into Mo Qingyun's arm. Under this collision, the young man in the brocade robe was sent flying by the rebound force. The young man was only a second-layer Yuan Dan realm cultivator, so he naturally couldn't be compared to Mo Qingyun, who was an 8th-layer Yuan Dan realm cultivator and had cultivated a body refining martial technique. Damn it! Where did this stinky beggar come from? How dare you beg in front of my Yi family residence? Do you want to die? The young man in the brocade robe got up from the ground with an angry expression and raised his hand to punch Mo Qingyun. "Get lost." Seeing the young man's action, Mo Qingyun's face darkened and he coldly said. Following that, Mo Qingyun unleashed his perfected earth profundity and directly pressed down on him. Plop! Under the pressure of the profound meaning of earth, the young man in the brocade robe was immediately forced to kneel on the ground. His face was deathly pale and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "Stop!" Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the young man with the injured arm shouted angrily at Mo Qingyun, "Brat, you've got guts. How dare you attack a direct descendant of the Yi family in front of my Yi family residence?" At this moment, the guards in the residence seemed to have sensed the commotion outside and rushed out fiercely like a pack of ferocious watchdogs. "Take them down immediately, dead or alive." Seeing the guards coming out, the young man with the injured arm angrily ordered the guards. "Yes, young Master Xiaofeng." When the guards heard the words of the youth with the injured arm, they rushed toward Mo Qingyun with fierce expressions on their faces. "Get lost." Seeing the guards rushing towards him, Qi Lian's face darkened. He released the aura of a 5th-layer Heaven Dipper realm and pressed down on the guards. Bang, bang, bang. Under Qi Lian's aura, the guards were instantly sent flying. Each of them spat out blood, and their faces were pale. However, Qi Lian didn't kill them. He directly sent them flying and severely injured them. Middle-level Heaven Dipper realm expert. Sensing Qi Lian's aura, the guards were immediately horrified. They looked at Qi Lian with fear in their eyes. Oomph. A middle-level Heaven Dipper realm expert dares to behave atrociously in my family? I think you're tired of living. Although Yi Qiufeng knew Qi Lian's cultivation, she wasn't afraid. The Yi family had plenty of middle-level Heaven Dipper Realm experts. It seems like the Yi family doesn't welcome me. Mo Qingyun ignored Yi Qiufeng's words. He turned to Qi Lian and said coldly, "Qi Lian, let's go." With that, Mo Qingyun took a step forward and flew back to the Meteor Mansion. Stop. Chapter 531. Mo Qingyun chose to ignore Yi Qiufeng's words and left with Qi Lian. Yi Qiufeng was furious as he watched Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian leave, but he didn't dare to chase after them. After all, there was a mid-level Heavenly Star Realm expert beside Mo Qingyun. Even if he chased after them, it wouldn't be of any help. "Brat, you can't escape." Looking at Mo Qingyun's back that was gradually disappearing, Yi Qiufeng clenched her teeth and spat out these vicious words. In his opinion, now that he knew what Mo Qingyun looked like, there would be plenty of opportunities to deal with Mo Qingyun in the future. There was no need to rush. Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, a series of hurried footsteps came from the Yi residence. Then, Yi Inshu and the rest appeared in front of Yi Qiufeng with nervous expressions. Qiufeng greets the patriarch and the various elders. Qiuchuan greets the patriarch and the various elders. Yi Qiufeng and Qi Lian respectfully stepped forward and bowed when they saw Yi Inshu and the rest appear. Yi Inshu and the rest nodded and frowned. They looked at the injured guards on the ground and asked coldly, "Qiufeng, what's going on?" Yi Qiufeng didn't dare to hesitate when he heard Yi Inshu's question. He quickly replied, "Patriarch, it's like this. 2 beggars came to the Yi residence. Not only did they come to beg, they even complained that we didn't give them enough. They thought they had the strength to take revenge on the guards. Following that, Yi Qiufeng twisted the truth and told him everything that had happened just now." After listening to Yi Qiufeng's story, Yi Inshu and the rest's faces darkened. At this moment, they vaguely guessed the identity of the 2 beggars. Those 2 beggars were most likely Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian. At this thought, Yi Inshu and the rest's faces turned even uglier. They were about to explode from anger. At the same time, they realized that what Yi Qiufeng had said earlier was complete nonsense. Could Mo Qingyun be a beggar? The answer was of course no. "Patriarch, you don't have to be angry." Seeing the expressions of Yi Inshu and the others, Yi Qiufeng's face lit up. She felt that Yi Inshu and the others were angry that someone dared to fight in front of the Yi residence. Thinking of this, the smile on Yi Qiufeng's face immediately became wider. She said with a smile, "Patriarch, elder, don't worry. I've memorized the appearance of those 2. I'll have someone draw it and give it to you later." "That's enough. Shut up." Yi Inshu finally lost his patience and roared at Yi Qiufeng. "Let me ask you, does that youth have purple hair? Is there a red-haired old man beside him?" "Patriarch, you actually know that brat." Yi Qiufeng was stunned when she heard Yi Inshu's guess about Mo Qingyun's identity. She was surprised by Yi Inshu's words and sneered. "It seems like those 2 aren't nameless people. If that's the case, it'll be much easier for us to take revenge on them. After that, I'll crush that brat, bang." Before Yi Qiufeng could finish, Yi Inshu went berserk and sent her flying with a slap. Yi Inshu and the others, who had slapped Yi Qiufeng away, were glaring at him with bloodshot eyes, wishing they could chop him into pieces. They had finally managed to coax Mo Qingyun into the Yi residence, but in the end, they were chased away by those 2 idiots. How could they accept this outcome? "Ma patriarch, why did you hit me?" After being slapped by Yi Inshu, Yi Qiufeng revealed a puzzled expression and an aggrieved expression. "Hit you? I want nothing more than to kill you." Yi Inshu's face twitched when he saw Yi Qiufeng's expression. He glared at Yi Qiufeng and said, "You said Mr. Mo is a beggar. Do you know who he is?" "Mr. Mo? Patriarch, you mean that brat?" At this moment, Yi Qiufeng revealed an expression of sudden understanding, and her expression became slightly gloomy and cold. She said, "That kid is only an extremely arrogant fellow who relies on his wealth to rely on. Last time at the Ice Crystal Auction House, bang, Without waiting for Yi Xiaofeng to finish speaking, Yin Shu directly kicked him, sending him flying. He angrily said, "Bastard, if you're talking about this, then it's you." Puffed. Yi Xiaofeng spat out a mouthful of blood after being kicked by Yin Shu again. His face turned pale. Yin Shu didn't pay any attention to Yi Xiaofeng's miserable state. "Let me tell you, that young Master Mo is a fourth-grade pill king. He might even be a core disciple of a super sect. A fourth-grade pill king. A true disciple of a great sect." Yi Xiaofeng looked like he was struck by lightning when he heard Yin Shu's words. He froze on the spot and said in disbelief, "No, impossible. How could Yuan Dan Brat be a fourth-grade pill king? How could he be a disciple of a great sect?" Speaking up to here, Yi Xiaofeng's expression immediately panicked, as if she had thought of something, and exclaimed, "Right, that kid is only at the 8th level of the Origin Core realm, yet he can fly through the air so quickly. Could he really be?" When she thought of this, Yi Xiaofeng's face was filled with fear, and panic rose in her heart. That's right, he was scared. If all of this was true, not to mention a true disciple like Mo Qingyun, even an ordinary inner disciple could easily crush him to death. A 8th grade Yuan Dan cultivator? Yin Shu's expression froze when he heard Yi Xiaofeng's terrified words. His guess became even more certain. He said, Yes, young Master Mo must be a disciple of a great alchemy sect. If he didn't come from such a sect, how could he have such means and achievements?" At that moment, Yin Shu and the others were certain that Mo Qingyun had come from some great alchemy sect. Thinking of this, the anger on Yin Shu and the others' faces became even more intense. "My master, you have to save me. I don't want to die." Yi Xiaofeng panicked when he thought about Mo Qingyun's revenge. He begged Yin Shu and the others for help. "Save you?" Yin Shu's face darkened. He glared at Yin Shu and ordered the guards, "Tie them up and follow me to the Meteor Mansion to apologize to Mr. Mo." "Master, no." Yi Xiaofeng's face twitched when he heard Yin Shu's decision. His heart sank as he begged Yin Shu for mercy. He knew that Yin Shu was planning to sacrifice the rook to save the king. By abandoning him, Yin Shu would gain Mo Qingyun's favor. In response to Yi Xiaofeng's pleas, Yin Shu waved his sleeves and released a surge of origin energy to blast him away. He said coldly, "It's better for you to bear the consequences of your own actions. Whether you live or not will depend on young Master Mo's mood. Let's go to the Meteor Mansion." Chapter 532. Young Lord, why didn't you let this old servant kill the Yi family? On the way back to the Meteor Mansion, Qi Lian was puzzled and asked Mo Qingyun, "Haha, there's no hurry. They won't live." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Qi Lian's puzzlement and explained, "Yi Xiaofeng is still useful. I want to use him to test the Yi family's attitude. If the Yi family is really eager to be on good terms with me, they will soon bring Yi Xiaofeng and Yi Xiaofeng to the Meteor Mansion. We can just wait in the Meteor Mansion." Hearing Mo Qingyun say this, Qi Lian faintly guessed Mo Qingyun's thoughts and didn't continue asking. An hour later, Mo Qingyun and Yi Xiaofeng returned to the Meteor Mansion. After returning to the Meteor Mansion, Mo Qingyun went to the conference hall and waited for the Yi family to arrive. As he expected, Yin Shu and the others soon brought Yi Xiaofeng and Yi Xiaofeng to the conference hall of the Meteor Mansion. Vile Spawn apologized to young Master Mo. Yin Shu threw Yi Xiaofeng and Yi Xiaofeng to the ground with a furious expression. "Mr. Mo, this old man did not discipline them well. I offended the Yi family just now. I hope Mr. Mo can forgive me." After coldly reprimanding Yi Xiaofeng and Yi Xiaofeng, Yin Shu apologized to Mo Qingyun with an apologetic expression. Patriarch Yi, you're too serious." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Yin Shu's words and showed an understanding expression. As one of the 8 great families of Ice Glaze City, the Yi family has a large number of people. It's understandable that there are good and bad people mixed in. Therefore, Patriarch Yi, You don't have to blame yourself. Mo Qingyun was so easy to talk to. It seemed that he was not displeased with Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng's actions at all. Yin Shu and the others were stunned when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They were somewhat surprised by Mo Qingyun's attitude. After a brief daze, Yin Shu was delighted and said to Mo Qingyun with a faint smile, "In that case, Mr. Mo, how about we go to the Yi family to study the immortal golden elixir formula?" Yi family? Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully and glanced at Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng. He shook his head and said, "Patriarch, I don't want to study the pill formula. I don't want to be chased out as a beggar again. In my opinion, there's no need to mention the formula. Then, Mo Qingyun's Yi Qiufeng's words, he nodded and smiled. E and Yi's, E leaves Yi's S leave Patriarch is S leave clan's family. S is Fong Lian, SSS families? Is to be left's? Could it be that in the end, they were still going to fall short of success? Of course, Yin Shu was more worried that Mo Qingyun would use the power behind him to deal with the Yi family. Yin Shu's expression trembled at the thought of this. He didn't dare to think about it anymore. Yin Shu's eyes turned cold as he turned to look at Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng. It was these two bastards' fault. If it weren't for them, this wouldn't have happened. Yin Shu glared at Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiuchuan and said coldly, "Elder Yi Zhongming, inform the entire Yi family that Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiuchuan are no longer members of the Yi family and will never be allowed to return to the family. Abandon the rook to save the king." Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiuchuan turned pale when they saw Yin Shu's action. In the end, Yin Shu decided to abandon them in exchange for the benefits of the Yi family. After giving the order to expel Yi Qiufeng from the Yi family, Yin Shu smiled at Mo Qingyun in awe. "Mr. Mo, now that the two of them have been expelled from the Yi family, would you be willing to come with us to the Yi family? Since no one doesn't welcome me, there's no problem with me going to the Yi family. However, there's something I need to do first." Mo Qingyun smiled at Yin Shu and said, "Patriarch, now that Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng are no longer members of the Yi family, the Yi family won't care about their lives anymore, right?" Yin Shu and the others immediately tensed up when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They instantly understood what Mo Qingyun was thinking. Mo Qingyun still didn't intend to let Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiuchuan off. Not only that, but Yin Shu also understood why Mo Qingyun hadn't killed Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng in the Yi family. This was because Mo Qingyun had already calculated what was going to happen next. He knew that Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng wouldn't be able to escape. The current situation was progressing step by step according to Mo Qingyun's plan. This kid has such a frightening mind. After understanding the crux of the matter, Yin Shu looked at Mo Qingyun with even more reverence. This kind of distant gaze, this kind of deep wisdom was truly terrifying. Mo Qingyun wasn't someone to be trifled with. That was Yin Shu and the others' evaluation of Mo Qingyun. Of course, it has nothing to do with the Yi family. Yin Shu smiled apologetically at Mo Qingyun, drawing a clear line between him and Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng. That's great. Mo Qingyun's smile widened when he heard this. He turned to Qi Lian and said, "Qi Lian, kill them." "Yes, young lord." Qi Lian immediately raised his hand and slapped Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng in front of the Yi family. No. Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng immediately begged for mercy when they saw the blood-red hand coming at them. They really couldn't accept that the two of them were going to be killed in front of the Yi family head and the elders. This way of dying was too humiliating and cowardly. The blood-red hand didn't stop at all when Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng begged for mercy. Instead, it slapped them. Bang! The blood-red hand slapped Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng into the ground. They had been killed instantly, their eyes wide open and their faces full of unwillingness. Yin Shu and the others couldn't bear to see this scene. After all, Yi Qiufeng and Yi Qiufeng were juniors of the Yi family. Yin Shu and the others couldn't bear to see Mo Qingyun die like this. Their reverence for Mo Qingyun intensified. Given Mo Qingyun's ruthlessness and wisdom, it was better not to become enemies with the Yi family. They couldn't drag down the entire Yi family because of two good-for-nothing juniors. Although the Yi family was stronger than the Xia and Xian families, they couldn't compare to the combined strength of the two families. If the combined strength of the Xia and Xian families couldn't do anything to Mo Qingyun, the Yi family naturally couldn't do anything to Mo Qingyun either. Therefore, Mo Qingyun couldn't be provoked. Yi family head, let's go. Looking at Yin Shu and the others with serious expressions, Mo Qingyun stood up and walked out of the hall with a faint smile. Go! Yin Shu and the others were stunned and didn't react for a moment. However, they quickly understood what Mo Qingyun meant. Chapter 533. Young Master, you're indeed a diviner. Everything is as you expected. On the way to the Yi family, Qi Lian looked impressed as he transmitted his voice to Mo Qingyun. The Yi family now needs my help. In addition, they're suspicious of my identity and are worried. Mo Qingyun chuckled when he heard this, and then he sent a voice transmission to Qi Lian. So, I just happen to be playing hard to get. Now, the stronger I display, the greater the worry in their hearts will be. After this, they'll be even more obedient before me. Young lord, you are wise. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qi Lian understood Mo Qingyun's intention and admired Mo Qingyun even more. An hour later, Mo Qingyun followed Yin Shu and the others to the Yi family again. Mr. Mo, please follow me. Arriving at the Yi family, Yin Shu smiled politely and gestured for Mo Qingyun to enter. Under Yin Shu's lead, Mo Qingyun arrived at a quiet courtyard. The courtyard was surrounded by all kinds of rare spiritual herbs. Most of them were more than 100 years old. It seemed that the Yi family was indeed an alchemy family with a long history. Their heritage was not something an ordinary family could compare to. Mr. Mo, Mr. Qi, please wait here for a moment. I will go and get the immortal gold elixir recipe. After entering the small courtyard, Yin Shu pointed at a stone stool at the side and called out to Mo Qingyun before walking into the small courtyard. At this time, the other elders of the Yi family sat down beside Mo Qingyun and waited for Yin Shu to get the immortal gold elixir recipe. Not long after, Yin Shu walked out of the house with the undying gold pills recipe in his hand. After taking out the recipe, Yin Shu walked to Mo Qingyun and carefully handed the recipe to Mo Qingyun. Mr. Mo, this is the recipe for the immortal gold elixir. Please take a look. Okay. Mo Qingyun nodded. He took the pill recipe from Yin Shu's hands and examined it carefully. Mo Qingyun had heard of the immortal gold elixir before, but had never obtained the recipe. Therefore, Mo Qingyun needed to familiarize himself with the recipe if he wanted to refine the immortal gold elixir. Seeing Mo Qingyun studying the undying gold pills recipe, Yin Shu and the others tensed up. They held their breaths, afraid to disturb Mo Qingyun. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun smiled and placed the immortal gold elixir recipe on the stone table. After examining it, Mo Qingyun found that the immortal gold elixir was only a 4th grade king elixir. He could still refine it. Seeing Mo Qingyun put down the recipe, Yin Shu immediately became nervous and asked Mo Qingyun, Mr. Mo, what do you think? Can you refine the immortal gold elixir? I can give it a try. Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious and his eyes sharpened. Although I can't say I'm 100% sure, I'm 70% sure. 70% sure. How could that be considered a try? Yin Shu and the others were shocked and exclaimed in their hearts. With their alchemy skills as 3rd grade elixir kings, they weren't even 50% sure that they could refine a 2nd grade king elixir. At this moment, compared to Mo Qingyun, the disparity was obvious. At this moment, Yin Shu and the others couldn't help but feel a blow to their hearts. Patriarch Yi, should we refine it now, or Since Mo Qingyun had finished looking at the immortal golden pill's pill formula, he didn't want to delay any longer and asked Yi Shu for his opinion. Mo Qingyun thought that the sooner he refined the immortal gold elixir, the sooner he could get the immortal spring water. In that case, I won't delay any longer. Let's refine the immortal gold elixir immediately. When Yi Shu heard this, he couldn't wait to reply to Mo Qingyun. He wanted to see how Mo Qingyun, a young man from a great alchemy sect, would refine the undying golden pill. In that case, I'll have to trouble Patriarch Yi to prepare the ingredients. Mo Qingyun nodded and said to Yi Shu, Patriarch Yi, I wonder if your family has any extra immortal spring water? If it's convenient, it would be best if you could give me some. I will definitely thank you in the future. Immortal spring water? Yi Shu was taken aback for a moment before a look of embarrassment appeared on his face. Young Master Mo, to tell you the truth, the Yi family is only left with the immortal spring water needed to refine the immortal gold pill. If you want the immortal spring water, can you wait until the next time the Yi family is in charge of the immortal cavern? When will the Yi family be in charge of the immortal cavern next time? When Mo Qingyun heard this, he immediately frowned and asked Yi Shu about it. If he had to wait for too long, he probably couldn't wait any longer. After all, he was in a hurry to refine the immortal spring water to help him comprehend the ultimacy of death. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yi Shu thought for a moment and said, the immortal cavern isn't in charge of the Yi family alone. It's managed by the Yi family, the Kong family, and the Li family in turn. Usually, they fight once every 10 years. In 10 days, it will be our turn to take charge. At that time, we will get the immortal spring water from Mr. Mo. 10 days, we can still wait. Mo Qingyun understood and thought to himself, if I can't get the immortal spring water from the Yi family, I could go to the Kong family and the Li family to take a look. Mo Qingyun immediately had a plan in mind. In addition, Mo Qingyun also understood why the Wen family, the Xian family, and the Sha family controlled the ancient fruit grove and weren't coveted by the other big families. With the Yin family's strength, they disdained to compete with them. With the Fong family's strength, they weren't qualified to compete with them. As for the Yi family, the Kong family, and the Li family, they were in charge of the immortal cavern and didn't need to compete with the Wen family. In this way, a kind of balance was formed vaguely. After a while, Yi Shu brought the materials for refining the immortal golden elixir and placed them in front of Mo Qingyun. Seeing that the materials for the immortal golden elixir were brought, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and took out the sacred beast cauldron. Then, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and sent a martial soul flame into the sacred beast cauldron. This is a martial soul flame. Yi Shu and the others were shocked when they saw the martial soul flame in the sacred beast cauldron. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Can a martial soul flame be used to refine pills? As expected of someone from a big alchemy sect, his alchemy skills were indeed amazing. At that moment, Yi Shu and the others were even more certain that Mo Qingyun came from a big alchemy sect. They looked at Mo Qingyun with even more reverence. In their eyes, if Mo Qingyun had come from a great alchemy sect, then all of this would make sense. At this time, without waiting for Yi Shu and the others to calm down, the shock on their faces became even stronger. This is the dragon's leap hand and the divine beast cauldron hand and the soaring dragon rain hand. Mr. Mo actually knows this kind of alchemy technique. Look, that's the sky lake waterfall hand. This is an alchemy technique that has been lost for more than 1,000 years. Looking at the exquisite alchemy techniques in front of them, Yi Shu and the others were stunned. Chapter 534. Following that, Mo Qingyun displayed exquisite alchemy techniques again and again. Yi Shu and the others were shocked again and again. In the end, Yi Shu and the others could no longer recognize Mo Qingyun's alchemy technique. After this discovery, the shock in the hearts of Yi Shu and the others rose to a whole new level. They couldn't recognize Mo Qingyun's alchemy technique, which meant that Mo Qingyun's alchemy skills were beyond their knowledge. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who was in the middle of refining pills, changed his method of refining pills once more. He raised his hand and pointed at the sky. A strange rune appeared on Mo Qingyun's finger. As soon as the rune flew into the sky, wind started to blow and clouds started to surge. Lightning started to roll in the clouds. Seeing this scene, Yin Shu and the others' expressions immediately froze, and they were so frightened that their bodies trembled. This alchemy technique looks like the lightning quenching hand. Lightning quenching hand? Wasn't that created by alchemy, Supremacy, Gucci 1,000 years ago? How does Mr. Mo know this alchemy technique? Could it be? At this moment, Yin Shu and the others were stunned. They were scared half to death by their own guesses. Mo Qingyun, could he be the successor of alchemy Supremacy? It didn't matter if Mo Qingyun was the successor of alchemy Supremacy or his disciple. Any relationship with alchemy Supremacy was extremely frightening. No wonder Mr. Mo's alchemy skills are so high. Yin Shu and the others seemed to have solved the puzzle that had been bothering them for a long time. After this thought appeared in their minds, a wave of lingering fear rose in their hearts, and their faces were filled with joy. Fortunately, they had decided to abandon Yi Qiufeng and not become enemies with Mo Qingyun. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. How could they offend the successor of alchemy, Supremacy, so easily? Of course, while they rejoiced, Yin Shu and the others resented Yi Qiufeng and Mo Qingyun even more. The entire Yi family had almost been destroyed because of these two brats. While Yin Shu and the others were filled with mixed feelings, a pill fragrance wafted out from the holy beast cauldron. After this discovery, the eyes of Yin Shu and the others immediately lit up, and they revealed looks of ecstasy. The appearance of the pill fragrance meant that the immortal golden pill had been successfully refined. While Yin Shu and the others were pleasantly surprised, Mo Qingyun opened the holy beast cauldron, following which a golden core with the image of a departed spirit slowly flew out of the pill cauldron and into the air. Mr. Mo, seeing this, Yin Shu and the others were shocked and turned to look at Mo Qingyun. Before Yin Shu and the others could speak, Mo Qingyun interrupted them with a solemn expression. Seeing Yin Shu's attitude, Yi Zhongxiao was filled with respect and immediately apologized. Let's go. I'll go see our ancestor in the cellar. Seeing Yi Zhongxiao's attitude, Yin Shu did not continue to blame him and walked out of the courtyard with a solemn expression. A moment later, Yin Shu and the others arrived at the Yi family cellar. Ancestor, we're here to see you. After entering the cellar, Yin Shu walked up to a crystal coffin and bowed respectfully. Did you succeed in refining the pill formulas I gave you? A hoarse voice came from the golden coffin, giving off an extremely eerie and terrifying feeling. We didn't disappoint our ancestor. The undying golden core has been refined successfully. Yin Shu's face was filled with excitement as he replied to the person in the golden coffin. He walked to the front of the golden coffin and placed the undying golden core into it. It's actually a tribulation-grade, undying golden core. You've done well this time. Receiving the immortal gold pellet from Yin Shu, the man in the golden coffin immediately praised Yin Shu and the others. With this tribulation-grade immortal gold pellet, I can quickly regrow my flesh and blood, and my strength will return to its peak state. All right, you may leave. I'm going to use the undying golden core to refine my body. After saying this, the person in the coffin impatiently urged Yin Shu and the others to leave. Yes. Chapter 535. The night passed in silence. The next day, a group of terrifying auras appeared in the sky above the Yi residence. Shu and the others in the E residence immediately sensed the aura. Soon after, Shu and the others moved and quickly went to meet those people. When Shu saw who it was, his expression turned slightly better, but there was still a hint of anger in his expression. Brother Kong, Brother Ting, what's the meaning of this? Shu's expression was cold, and his tone carried a hint of displeasure. In Shu's view, these two's actions were undoubtedly a provocation to the E family. However, due to their status, Shu couldn't fall out with them directly. After all, these two were the patriarchs of the Li and Kong families of the 8 great families. Brother Shu, don't be angry. We're here because we have something important to discuss with you. Seeing Shu's expression, Kong and Kong Yi's expression turned serious and quickly explained. Oh, Shu raised his eyebrows, a little surprised by their reaction. After pondering for a while, he made an inviting gesture and said, Brother Kong, Brother Ting, please come in. Okay. Kong and Kong nodded and followed Shu to the E residence's conference hall. Soon, they arrived at the conference hall. What's the matter that made you so anxious? Shu's expression was tense as he asked the two in the conference hall. Brother Shu, this matter is unusual. You must be mentally prepared. Kong Yi's expression was tense. His eyes revealed a trace of anger and fear as he said, just now, Brother Ting went to the Immortal Cave to arrange for the handover in a few days. But when Brother Ting arrived, he found that the people from our 3 families stationed, they were all dead. What? Hearing Kong Yi's words, Shu's expression changed drastically. He couldn't accept this news. One had to know that the elders of the 3 families who were stationed in the Immortal Cave were all Heaven Dipper realm powerhouses. Moreover, the strongest among them was at the 6th level of Heavenly Dipper. 3 Heavenly Dipper stage 6 experts, as well as a few mid-level and low-level Heavenly Dipper stage elders, were all killed just like that. This news was too sudden and unexpected for him. Brother Shu, don't panic. This isn't the most troublesome thing. The most troublesome thing is that a spatial crack has appeared in the Immortal Cave. Kong Yi shrugged at Shu. His expression became even more solemn as he continued. Zombies are constantly coming out from the cracks in space. These zombies have the strength of Yuan Dan, Pill Palace, and even Heaven Star Border. Moreover, there are so many of them that the elders of our 2 families are almost unable to suppress them. Hearing Kong Yi's words, the hall immediately fell silent. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. This news was not a good thing for them. If it wasn't handled properly, not to mention the safety of their 3 families, it might even affect the entire Ice Glaze City. Thinking of this, Shu and the rest could no longer remain calm. A strong sense of worry rose in their hearts. After calming down, Shu's expression became more solemn. He said in a deep voice, Brother Kong, Brother Ting, this is a serious matter. It's no longer something that our 3 families can control. We must immediately inform the Yin family and let them contact the Black Ice Palace. That's right. We must ask the Black Ice Palace for help. Kong nodded solemnly. He said to Shu and Ting, Brother Shu, Brother Ting, immediately bring some people to the Immortal Cave and support the elders guarding there. Kill the zombies coming out from the cracks in space. I will go to the Yin family to inform them of this matter and let them contact the Black Ice Palace. After Kong finished speaking, he immediately left the residence and headed to the Yin family. Seeing that Kong had left, Ting didn't want to delay any longer. He said to Shu with a tense expression, Brother Shu, let's not hesitate. Let's go to the Immortal Cave immediately. Brother Ting, wait for me for a moment. I still have something to take care of. Shu's expression turned solemn. He said to Ting, then got up and walked out of the conference hall. After leaving the conference hall, Shu's expression immediately became serious. He quickly walked to the small courtyard where Mo Qingyun was. Now that the Immortal Cave was in trouble, he couldn't give Mo Qingyun the spring of immortality. He had to tell Mo Qingyun about this. A moment later, Inshu arrived at Mo Qingyun's small courtyard. Inshu walked into the small courtyard and said in a heavy tone, "Mr. Mo, Inshu requests an audience. It's not the day for the handover of the immortal cave yet. What is Inshu doing here?" Hearing Inshu's words, Mo Qingyun frowned. He was a little surprised by Inshu's arrival. Then, Mo Qingyun opened the door and walked out. "Patriarch what business do you have with me?" Mo Qingyun asked when he arrived in front of Inshu. "Mr. Mo, something has happened in the immortal cave. I'm afraid the spring of immortality." Inshu paused, an apologetic look on his face. "Someone from the Kong only came to tell me that a spatial tear has appeared in the immortal cave. There's a large amount of corrosion coming from it, and the rotting corpses are quite strong. We're planning on going to them, so I'm afraid we won't be able to get the spring of immortality." Rotting corpses? Mo Qingyun's eyes widened in shock as he thought of a possibility. Could the rumors be true? Outside the Tianhan continent, there's still... Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun's heart trembled and he became nervous. He said to Inshu, "Patriarch, take me to the immortal cavern immediately. I want to see the spatial cracks in the immortal cavern." "Mr. Mo, the immortal cave is extremely dangerous right now. If you go, it'll be very dangerous. You should." Inshu was worried. Inshu looked worried. He hoped that Mo Qingyun would not take the risk. After all, Mo Qingyun's cultivation was too low. "Don't worry about my safety. Take me to the immortal cave immediately." Mo Qingyun was well aware of Inshu's misgivings. He immediately interrupted Inshu and expressed his firm attitude. "All right." Inshu didn't try to persuade Mo Qingyun any further. He nodded and agreed to take Mo Qingyun to the immortal cave. It didn't take long for Mo Qingyun, Qi Lian, and Inshu to arrive at the clan's meeting hall. "Brotherly, let's go." Arriving at the meeting hall, Inshu was unwilling to delay any longer. He directly instructed Li Ting, "Brotherly, let's set off." "All right." Hearing Inshu's words, Li Ting immediately nodded and walked out with Inshu. Chapter 536. Asterisk roar. Asterisk eerie roars could be heard coming from the immortal cavern. One after another, hideous and terrifying figures continuously emerged from the spatial crack. Elder Li Suqing, "I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on much longer if this continues." Kong Ran had a worried look on his face as he solemnly said, "The void crack is getting bigger and bigger, and the number of zombies and rotting corpses coming out from it is also increasing. We don't have to worry about the true energy realm zombies. The real headache is the Yuan Dan realm zombies." Li Xiuqing's expression was solemn as well, and her eyes revealed worry as she gazed at the zombies with thick skin and coarse flesh. She said, "All of these zombies have thick skin and coarse flesh. It's utterly impossible for ordinary dark weapons to harm them in the slightest. As for those iron-armored zombies and bronze-armored zombies, even treasured artifacts are unable to harm them in the slightest. They are truly too difficult to deal with." Where did these zombies and rotting corpses come from? Kong Ran was puzzled. Why did these zombies suddenly appear? He said worriedly, "Among these rotting corpses, the strongest ones are the bronze-armored zombies. We don't know if there are higher-level zombies. If there are, we'll be in trouble. If they were stronger than the bronze-armored zombies, they would be equivalent to a transcendent realm expert. Just imagining a transcendent realm expert who was invulnerable to swords and spears was terrifying. At that time, not to mention guarding the immortal cavern, even the entire Ice Glaze dynasty would be destroyed with a wave of the hand." Asterisk bang. Asterisk just then, when Kong Ran and Li Suqing were talking, a horrifying corpse aura burst out from the spatial crack. Under this horrifying corpse aura, a Heaven Star border stage for Elder the Kong family was caught off guard and was instantly engulfed. Being eroded by this horrifying corpse aura, the Kong family elder's body immediately turned black. Soon, he was no different from a zombie. Not good. Elder Kong Yu is turning into a zombie. Seeing the changes in Elder Kong Yu's body, Kong ran, and Li Suqing's expressions changed drastically. Their faces immediately tensed up. After this period of battle, they discovered that once someone was hit by the corpse chi, they would turn into a half-human, half-corpse state like a zombie, unable to distinguish between friend and foe. This won't do. If this continues, we might all die here. At this moment, Li Suqing said worriedly with a heavy expression, "Elder Xiuqing, we're here." Just as Li Suqing was feeling worried, Li Ting's words reached his ears. Li Suqing and the others relaxed when they saw Li Ting and the others. However, their eyes were still filled with worry. With the speed at which the zombies and rotting corpses were emerging, even if Li Ting and the others arrived, they wouldn't be of much help. "Young lord, I'm afraid you're in trouble now." When Mo Qingyun arrived outside the Undying Grotto, the Nine Temples spoke worriedly in his mind. "What's wrong?" Mo Qingyun's expression changed when he heard the Nine Temples' words. He asked doubtfully, "Nine Temples, did you see something?" In Mo Qingyun's opinion, given the mysterious origins of the Nine Temples, they should be more insightful and experienced than he was. "Young lord, this spatial fissure leads to the underworld path. If it isn't sealed immediately, the consequences will be unimaginable." The Nine Temples stared at the spatial fissure and said gravely, "I hope this is only a fork in the road to the underworld path. If it leads to the main road, even if we seal it, it won't be of any use." The underworld path? When Mo Qingyun heard this, he revealed a puzzled expression and asked, "I've only seen descriptions of the immortal path in some ancient books. What kind of place is this underworld path?" The Nine Temples was silent for a moment when they heard Mo Qingyun's question. "Young lord, the underworld path is the same as the path of immortality. It's an extremely chaotic place. For the Tianhun continent, the underworld path is filled with experts. It's not something the Tianhun continent can compare to. So the rumors are true." Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up when he heard the Nine Temples' words. He was looking forward to seeing the underworld path and the path of immortality. "One day, I'll definitely go to the underworld path and the path of immortality." Mo Qingyun made a decision. He wanted to leave the Tianhun continent and see the outside world. At this moment, the size of the spatial crack had expanded a little. As the spatial fissure expanded, the zombies coming out of it grew even stronger. Not good. The spatial fissure is getting bigger. The zombies coming out of it are getting stronger. This is bad. Li Suqing's expression changed when he saw the spatial fissure grow bigger. His eyes were filled with worry. "This is bad. That's a 6-stage Heaven Star border copper-armored zombie. I'm afraid we won't be able to stop it with our current strength." Kong Rant's expression also changed. He frowned and said to the people around him, "Everyone, we can't hold on to the cave of immortality anymore. Why don't you all return to your clansmen and move to Ice Glaze City? This is no longer something we can control." Yin Shu and the others fell silent when they heard Kong Rant's words. They were tempted. Clearly, they felt that Kong Rant's words made sense. With their current strength, there was no way they could stop the zombies from coming out. At the same level of cultivation, Yin Shu and the others weren't a match for the zombies at all. The body of this copper-armored zombie was simply like a divine armor. It was invulnerable to swords and spears. Ordinary martial skills and weapons could not harm it at all. There was no comparison at all. "These fools," the Nine Temples said angrily when Yin Shu and the others were thinking of retreating. "Once they leave, let the corpse energy from the zombies merge with the corpse energy from the spatial fissure and break it open again. It won't be long before the silver-armored zombies and golden-armored zombies appear. The Tianhun continent will be finished then." "It's that serious?" Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. "Perhaps it's even more serious than I thought." The Nine Temples' tone grew heavier when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. "If it's just the silver-armored zombies and golden-armored zombies, it'll be fine. It'll just be a massacre. But if the Drought Demon King comes, it'll be the end of the world." Mo Qingyun's expression darkened when he heard the Nine Temples' words. A sense of worry rose in his heart. If the Nine Temples' words were true, then the Mo family, the Long family, and the disciples of his past life would all be plunged into an endless calamity. When that happened, they would never be able to see each other again. This wasn't something he wanted to see. Chapter 537. There's only one way, but this method is far too dangerous for you. Young lord, the Nine Temples fell silent at the thought of the dangers of this method. They didn't know if they should let Mo Qingyun do it. What is it? Mo Qingyun asked anxiously at the Nine Temples' silence. The Nine Temples sighed at Mo Qingyun's question. This method requires you, young lord, to bring this old servant into the underworld path. Then, this old servant will use a secret technique to seal the crack in the underworld path. Enter the underworld path. Mo Qingyun's eyebrows furrowed. He was very surprised by this method. Even though he had made the decision to enter the underworld path in the future, he didn't think that the moment would come so soon. That's right. Young lord, you must bring this old servant into the underworld path. The Nine Temples nodded. Also, once this old servant uses a secret technique to seal the crack, young lord, you will never be able to return to the Tianhun continent. Never be able to return to the Tianhun continent. Hearing Zhou Gong's words, Mo Qingyun was startled and hesitated. He would have to be separated from everyone. As for when they would meet again, or if they would never meet again, there was no way to be sure. This choice was far too difficult. While Mo Qingyun was still hesitating, the Nine Temples continued. Not only that, but due to this old servant's current cultivation, even if I use a secret technique to seal the crack, it will only last for a year. If we can't find someone to repair it in a year, it will shatter again. Only a year? Mo Qingyun's hesitation intensified. He began to weigh the pros and cons in his mind. He risked his life to enter the underworld path and seal this spatial tear. He gave everyone a year's time to resolve the crisis of the heavenly soul continent. Was it worth it or not? At this moment, Mo Qingyun was even more hesitant. After all, he was not some savior. It was not his duty to save the world. Asterisk, roar. Asterisk at this moment. While Mo Qingyun was hesitating, the spatial crack expanded a little, and the zombie walking out of it became even stronger. Young lord, the strength of this spatial tear is already enough for a peak 6th level Heavenly Dipper realm copper-armored zombie to pass through. You have to make a decision quickly. The Nine Temples urged Mo Qingyun when they saw that the zombie's strength had already reached the peak of Heaven Star Border Stage 6. Once the Heaven Star Border Bronze armored zombie comes out, I'm afraid Ice Glaze City will be flattened in an instant. It will be too late to enter the underworld path then. All right, let's enter the nether path. After hearing what the Nine Temples said, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and made a difficult decision. The Nine Temples was right. Once the Heaven Star Border Bronze armored zombie appeared, it would be over if they entered the seal. Even a Heaven Star Border Bronze armored zombie would not be able to suppress it in Ice Glaze City. Qilian, I'm going to enter the underworld path and seal this spatial crack. After making a decision, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and said to Qilian, I'll leave the Meteor Manor and Tianyan Manor to you for the next few days. Protect them well for me and wait for my return. Hidden door. After saying that, Mo Qingyun immediately used his martial soul's ability and disappeared on the spot. Qilian's face turned solemn when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He promised Mo Qingyun in a deep voice, Young lord, don't worry. This old servant will not let you down. Teleportation gate. After using the hidden door for himself, Mo Qingyun used the teleportation gate again and entered the underworld path in a flash. As soon as Mo Qingyun entered the underworld path, he saw countless zombies and rotting corpses. The number could be counted in the trillions. I didn't expect there to be so many zombies and rotting corpses in the underworld path. Looking at the zombies and rotting corpses in front of him, Mo Qingyun sucked in a breath of cold air. He was truly frightened. Young lord, this is only a fork in the underworld path. If it was the main path, the number of zombies and rotting corpses would be even more shocking. The Nine Temples explained to Mo Qingyun in response to his shock. He then said, "Young lord, use the hidden door for this old servant. This old servant is going to use a secret technique." All right. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately cast the door of concealment on Jiugong. Under the effect of the hidden door, the Nine Temples figure instantly disappeared on the spot and began to set up the secret technique. Sky-stealing, sun-swapping formation, upside-down universe formation, rise. A moment later, a dazzling light erupted from the Nine Temples' hand. Sky-stealing, sun-swapping formation. As soon as the dazzling light appeared, the Nine Temples blasted it towards the spatial crack. Next, under the resplendent light, the spatial crack began to close little by little until it disappeared without a trace. Upside-down universe formation. Seeing this, the Nine Temples did not hesitate and formed another hand seal to attack the dazzling light. After the Nine Temples' hand seal entered, the dazzling light shone brightly and flew towards a spacious area in the underworld path. Not long after, the dazzling light slowly transformed into a curtain of light that looked like a spatial crack. The appearance of this pseudo-spatial crack immediately attracted the attention of the rotting corpses and zombies. They all gathered towards the crack. "Young lord, I'm afraid this old servant will have to sleep for a few days and will not be able to help you. You must be careful in the underworld path." After using the secret technique, the Nine Temples' voice was weak as he spoke to Mo Qingyun. "Go and recover first. You don't have to think too much about what will happen next." Mo Qingyun said to Jiugong before consoling him. "With my abilities, I might not be able to kill all the zombies this time, but I should be able to stay alive." Hearing this, the Nine Temples nodded. He did not doubt Mo Qingyun's words. With Mo Qingyun's two great talents, the hidden door and the teleportation gate, combined to escape, it was still very heaven-defying. Then, the Nine Temples did not say anything else. His body turned into a ray of light and entered the Soul Palace between Mo Qingyun's eyebrows. After the Nine Temples entered the Soul Palace to recover, Mo Qingyun began to survey his surroundings. He decided to find a place to settle down first. The underworld path is tangled and complicated. It won't be easy to not get lost here. Looking at the cobweb-like path in front of him, Mo Qingyun felt a headache coming on. After making a few choices, his gaze stopped on a narrower path. He thought to himself, "There are fewer rotting corpses and zombies on this path. I'll go down this path." Then, Mo Qingyun followed this narrower path and carefully flew forward, slowly distancing himself from the spatial crack. As he got further and further away from the spatial crack, the number of rotting corpses and zombies gradually decreased. Chapter 538. Following this, Mo Qingyun carefully moved away from the spatial crack bit by bit. Several hours later, a black mountain peak appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. There were very few zombies and rotting corpses here. "I finally found a place to rest." Seeing this, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. His expression relaxed as he said, "I can finally rest and recover when I reach the mountain peak." With this thought, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately sped up and flew towards the foot of the mountain. After several breaths, Mo Qingyun arrived at the foot of the mountain. He hollowed out an ancient tree and entered it to rest and recover. After several hours of continuous flying, Mo Qingyun's spiritual power at the heavenly spirit realm couldn't bear it anymore. More importantly, he was constantly in a concealed state, which consumed too much of his martial soul's power. It was almost beyond what he could bear. Now that he could find a place to rest, it was naturally an extremely good situation. After entering the tree hole, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately recovered his spiritual power and martial soul's soul power. This time, Mo Qingyun spent a total of 3 days cultivating and recovering. After 3 days, Mo Qingyun opened his eyes with a faint smile on his face. The strength of his spiritual power had actually increased slightly during this cultivation and recovery. Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and walked out of the tree hole. He looked around. It's a pity that the 9 temples are in a deep slumber. Otherwise, he should be able to give me some instructions so that I won't be so ignorant. After looking around, Mo Qingyun revealed a bitter smile and sighed. Forget it. I'll explore step by step. This way, I'll feel more adventurous. Mo Qingyun comforted himself. He began to walk around the mountain peak. He was prepared to explore the underworld path. That's right. The Cave of Immortality is connected to the underworld road. In that case, the spring of immortality should come from the underworld road. While walking, Mo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up as he suddenly thought of this point. He immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression and said, if that's the case, I should be able to find the undying spring after searching the underworld path. When he thought of this, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned serious, and he began to search for the undying spring water in the underworld path. These rotting corpses and zombies live in the underworld path, so they are more familiar with this place. Looks like I have to start from them if I want to find the undying spring water. As Mo Qingyun walked, he thought about how he could find the undying spring water faster. Not long after, a few hideous figures appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. These figures were 6 rotting corpses and 2 ordinary zombies. They were swaying and walking aimlessly. Chapter 540. Without waiting for Mo Qingyun's reply, Zhang Jie took out a yellow talisman and began to recite the incantation. As he recited the incantation and continuously formed hand seals, the yellow talisman immediately blossomed with dazzling light. Young master, junior sisters, step back. Zhang Jie reminded Mo Qingyun and the other 2 before throwing the yellow talisman at the armored zombie. Immediately after, the flickering glorious sun corpse subduing talisman turned into a stream of light and shot towards the armored zombie. Bang! Under the attack of the glorious sun corpse subduing talisman, the armored zombie was instantly sent flying before exploding in midair. Phew! Seeing that the armored zombie was killed, Zhang Jie and the other 2 heaved a deep sigh of relief. Their expressions relaxed as they fell limply to the ground. Thank you, young master, for your help. Seeing that the armored zombie was dealt with, Zhang Jie revealed a grateful smile and cupped his hands towards Mo Qingyun. You're welcome. It was nothing. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand at Zhang Jie. Young master, Master Sushan is suffering from corpse poison. I must bring him to a great talisman master to detoxify him. Seeing that Sushan's aura was weak, Zhang Jie revealed an anxious expression and suggested to Mo Qingyun, the vicinity of Monument Mountain is extremely dangerous. It's not safe for you to be here alone. Why don't you come with us to the Mao Fu sect? When the time comes, let me express my gratitude. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you. Hearing that, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and agreed to Zhang Jie's suggestion. He followed them to the Mao Fu sect. On the way to the Mao Fu sect, Big Brother Mo, did you come from the human road to the underworld road? Are all the cultivators in the human road as powerful as you? Zhang Wei, the more lively of the 2 girls, walked to Mo Qingyun's side with a slightly red face. She opened her eyes wide and looked at Mo Qingyun curiously. Human road? Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He didn't understand the meaning of Zhang Wei's words. He thought to himself, could it be that this mortal road is the same as the underworld road and the immortal road? Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Zhang Wei's face showed some surprise. She asked doubtfully, Big Brother Mo, don't tell me you don't know the way. But your cultivation method doesn't seem like it's from the path of immortality. This, Mo Qingyun's expression was awkward. He knew nothing about the mortal path and the immortal path. For a moment, he didn't know how to answer this question. However, after a short moment of silence, Mo Qingyun's eyes immediately turned. He faintly smiled and said, "It's like this. Since I was 3 years old, I have been cultivating with my master. This is the first time I have left my cultivation cave. Therefore, I know nothing about the outside world. I hope you won't laugh at me."